Well, we made it to Friday, which is always good. A lot of good stuff going on this weekend, and, well, a much-needed break for the Milwaukee Bucks. That was about as pathetic a performance as I've seen in a long time. We'll get into that. You got the NFL offseason now culminating. You have got Brewers baseball. They're in camp. We're going to talk some motorcycle racing today. Our buddy Jeremy from Mamet's Ride and Flat Out Friday is going to join me here in studio a little bit later on this afternoon. So we got a lot going on. We got Kevin Holden from CBS 58. Mike Clemens is going to join us. And Mike will give us his Vegas recap, for lack of a better term. So we'll talk with Mike coming up here a little bit later on today, too. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do it. You can also track us down over on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can track us down there. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant over on X as well. Instagram, The Bill Michaels Show over on Instagram. Instagram.com or Instagram and just search it, The Bill Michaels Show. Same thing on Facebook. Go to Facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. YouTube continues to grow. You can watch the program each and every day, and you can do that on YouTube. Go to YouTube.com/Bill Michaels Show. That's the same thing on Twitch TV, on Kick TV. If you download either of those apps and you want to watch us there, you can. You can also find us on LinkedIn as well. We're on LinkedIn TV now. I don't even know where the hell else we are. We're all over the place. Email thebillmichaels@gmail.com, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. And you can find us on the website, which is simply thebillmichaels.com. And then you can find us on the app. Take us anywhere and everywhere. And I got a nice note today from a guy named Charlie who listens to us. I don't know specifically where Mercer is. I'd have to look it up. But he's in Mercer, and he's a farmer, and says we're on every day in the great big John Deere combine thing that he's driving around in, I guess. But we're on in tractors everywhere, too. So appreciate you listening to us. Also, you can find us via the Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcast after the fact as well. There you go. Grant Bills, did you sit last night and watch that Bucks game with as much disdain as I did?
Yeah, what did we say yesterday, Bill? Just win this game. It doesn't even have to be pretty. And then we can go into the All-Star break. We can forget about the Bucks for a week. And they wouldn't even give us that. Yeah, it was really frustrating.
I've been saying it for a while now. My scream is, guys, it isn't the coach. It's not the coach. You can put whoever, whether it was Budenholzer, you can put Adrian Griffin, you can put Doc Rivers. It's not the coach. It's the players. Lazy, uninterested players. Why in the hell do you want to go spend money on that product when they don't care? Why should you? It's a lazy, lame-ass product. And they're winning games because they've got so much talent. But they will never. This is, how many times have we seen these, quote, dream teams put together, these teams with these superstars, and they're going to roll and they're going to win it all. And it very rarely happens. Or it happens once and then it's done because they can't keep their own selfish egos in check. Half of this team looks to Giannis to dominate. The other half wants to dominate, but they can't, so they get lazy. It's a lazy, lethargic. Kudos to Doc Rivers. Half their minds were in Cabo. How do you have guys not even know what the hell the plays are? That is lazy. That is focus. Period. I don't even. I was asked last night if Drew Holiday if he was here, would this team be different? I don't think so. Because some of the stars that are still here are the ones that are lazy. So I don't think so. It's an older team. I understand that. But there are guys that just look disinterested. Maybe we talk about it all the time. There's something to be said for chemistry inside a locker room. Maybe when Drew Holiday left, the chemistry inside a locker room went south. I don't know. But that is a lazy, lethargic, pathetic basketball team. And they win games, and there's Bucks fans that are pissed at me. Just mad at me. How can you don't know what you're talking about? You don't cover the Bucs enough. Blah, 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 blah. What I know is when I watch a game and I see guys standing around, I see guys that if they had time to drop their pants and put their finger in their own rear end and they could do it and have nobody notice them and time to do it, that they could. That's a lazy basketball team. It's a lazy, lethargic basketball team. Call it like it is. And Doc looked at it and went, this is crap. This is crap. You got one or two guys playing and meat and mugging, and I'm going to be a badass, but your team's getting beat. You can't elevate anybody. All you're doing is winning games by yourself, but you're not elevating the rest of the guys around you. Not at all. So it's a lazy, bad basketball team. And I don't know if 20 games is going to turn it around. I have a feeling come maybe the second round of the postseason, they're going to be watching it from home. After the second round of the postseason, I think they're going to be watching it from home. They're not that good. Not unless they suddenly turn it on. They're not that good. Is it Damian Lillard? Part of it. When he's engaged, man, he is engaged. When he's not, he could care less. He could care less. Look, just floating around, waving his arm. Just, watch him. Just focus on him. The laziest basketball player, one of the laziest I've ever seen. And he was going to be the guy that was going to put him over the top. And all you did was invite lazy into that locker room. Period. I mean, there's other guys in that area that are around it, but, and what I feel bad is the guys that do hustle. I watched Brook Lopez is starting to give up. Hey, last night, there was 2 or 3 shots. He didn't put a hand up. He just stood there. Are you going to shoot it? Okay. And then watched it go in. Didn't even get a hand up. That's not Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez has been beaten down. He's looking at it, and I on one hand, I get it. On the other hand, it's like, come on, dude. You're one of the best defenders that this team has, and you're not even doing it anymore. But at this point, I'm sure Brook's looking around going, nobody else is going to play it. Why should I? He's got a hand out. What the hell is a hand around a guy's junk going to do when he takes a jump shot over you? What, are you going to grab it on the way up? I got you. I'm hanging on. I'll throw you down to the ground by your junk. What's that going to do? Pathetic, lazy-ass basketball team. So maybe the vacation, maybe the little bit of a break will rejuvenate them. But this whole thing about Giannis wanting to win championships and they got to do everything for me and this and that, that's garbage too. Still basketball, top of the key. I'm going to, he does dribble drive. He does score. He does have the Euro step. He does play hard. But you got to be able to elevate guys around you, period. You got to elevate guys around you. And if you're not doing that, then you're nothing more than a selfish superstar. Go eat your Chick-fil-A and all the other stuff that you want to do and just, whatever. He gives the Bucs the best chance to win a championship, without a doubt. Any team, without a doubt. But you got to elevate everybody around you. You got to figure a way to be more of a leader. But, man, Damian Lillard, if this is the end of your career, that's pathetic. You can go score all you want. Doesn't matter. You can't play a lick of defense. I could beat you. I really believe that because he stands there, hands out. You know what he looks like? He looks like that male poster that's in most medical offices with the head turned sideways. That's it. There you go. That's my Bucs take today. You hope that there's a refocus. I doubt it, but you hope. We all do because we want to see him play well. But right now, as we sit here today, you cannot convince me of anything else other than this is a selfish, lazy-ass basketball team. That's it. What else do we have today? We've got Kevin Holden, CBS 58, is going to be joining us later on today. We'll talk with Kevin about the Brewers. As the Brewers get ready for their season, they're in camp now. Everybody's in camp now. So I'm talking about all the teams, not every player. You got pitchers and catchers that are there, but you got all of that. And then on the other side of things, you got the NFL offseason, and now you kind of look southward again. I mean, they picked up Adrian Amos. Looks like Eddie Jackson might be out the door. Would you go after a veteran like Eddie Jackson in the secondary for the Packers? For the Packers. So, John says, hey, Bill, we also doubted Jordan Love halfway through the season, smaller sample size, but we still did. Here's the thing, though, John. Jordan Love played hard. It was a lack of execution. This team doesn't play hard. It's not a lack of execution. It's a lack of heart. It's a lot. And I hate to say that because I usually will preface it by saying I don't question people's heart, but I question maybe their motives more than their heart. You know, you just do. Watch them play. Sit down, make a concerted effort. A first game, second game, once they get, because the first game they're going to come out probably going to win, probably going to dominate. And you're going to go, oh, that's it. They've rejuvenated. And then you're going to see a game or two down the road, and they're going to look like this again. They're going to look lethargic. They're going to look lazy. They're going to take bad shots, turn the ball over. They're going to be looking at each other like, what are you doing? No, I don't know. What are you doing? You playing defense? You were supposed to have that guy. No, I wasn't. You were supposed to have that guy. No, that guy on the bench was supposed to have that guy. That's the way they're going to look at each other. And then you're going to go back to saying the same old thing. You can see it coming. And then we're going to get all geeked. Here comes some opponent that they should be superior than in the postseason. And you're going to go, wow, here we go. And they're going to battle and battle and battle. And they're going to win it. You know, whatever that first series is, they're going to scrape by in a couple of games when they should be dominating. And they're going to get off to these fast leads and all that BS. And then they're going to end up winning by 4, winning by 2, winning by 1, last second buzzer beater, whatever, over a team that they have no business even toying with, that they should just dominate. And they won't. And they'll win the series. They'll go to the next series. And then they'll go, we can't figure out what happened. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. You can see it coming. Wash, rinse, repeat. See it coming. This is exactly what they did last year. They won games because they're talented. You can't. Sometimes you can just fall ass backwards into a win because they're just good. They're just good. They rise to the occasion against some of the better teams and against some of the worst teams where they have no business even on the same floor with these teams because they're so much better. They just cower away. Like we should just roll the basketballs out and we should win, you know? So 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. And Paul, you are 100% right. How do you compare somebody who is playing in their first season full-time as a starter versus bona fide all-star veterans? 100% agree.
Well, along those same lines, the Packers weren't winning, but it became pretty clear they played for their coach. They didn't give up on their coach. What have we seen from the Bucs this year, either under Adrian Griffin or Doc Rivers, that they were playing for their coach and fighting for their coach? The Packers, the Bucs, don't compare those two teams.
Yeah, it's not even it's not even a fair comparison. They're not even apples to apples. It's apples to, car tires. It's just completely different. Completely different. So anyway, that's if you want to call it the opening rant, there's your opening rant for the day today. But it is Friday. I'm excited. We got, what are you doing this weekend, Grant? What do you got going on? Anything?
My parents are actually coming to town. They're coming to Madison.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We get together with my brother and it's his birthday. So just do a little kicking around town. And my parents are actually bringing the dog to the golden retriever. So
okay. Are they all staying with you?
They got a big house out in Sun Prairie, one of the big Airbnbs. So they're just going to set up shop for the weekend. Yeah.
Okay.
No, oh my God, no, they don't.
Like how they cram it into the apartment?
Someone would have to sleep in the bathroom if I had more than one house guest in my apartment.
There you go. And then the one other thing that I failed to mention is that last night you saw history, Caitlin Clark's record-breaking 3, the logo 3. Just phenomenal what she's done. I was watching yesterday afternoon as ESPN was, kind of following the ticket prices and such last night over in Iowa for to see her break the women's all-time scoring record. And now what is she, like 89 or 99 points away from breaking the all-time NCAA collegiate scoring record, which has stood tall for 50 years, and she could do it in 3 years, which is amazing. She could do it. She could do it in the next 2 games. She ended up setting a career high, but career best last night. But she is exciting to watch. And for the most part, she's stayed pretty humble. I liked her post-game speech where she's talking about the record, but then she started talking about the team, how we could have done a few things better. We need to play a little bit better defense, hands out, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wow. Okay. You kind of like the little bit of bravado, but not over the top. And so you kind of respect that. So, but it was, what an incredible performance last night, 3,528 points plus. And it's just what an amazing accomplishment. an amazing accomplishment. So we don't want to gloss over that because that was history in the making last night. So you saw that as well. All right, let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We're one segment in. I think we got 15 more to go. We got a lot going on today. And today we are going to tell you how you can get VIP treatment. Somebody out there listening to the program is going to get VIP treatment, and I'll tell you how coming up a little bit later on today as well. So stay right where you're at. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Stoley's Hog Alley and Stolesville 109 today. You're official. We're now into Lent. Fish fries are now prevalent, and they've got a good one. They've got that salted rye bread over there at Stoley's Hog Alley, and the fish fries are legendary. And if you're going to get there early or get there late, unless you squeeze in right there, a little bit of a wait, but get in and enjoy yourself and say hi to Jeff, say hi to Alicia. But Stoley's Hog Alley in Lake Country on Venice Beach Road, Stolesville 109 in Watertown on County Road are both places fantastic. Fish Fry Fridays everywhere tonight, and it's going to begin and end right there at Stoley's Hog Alley. Stay tuned. We got more. Bill Michaels Show continues right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Do you love winning? This February, head to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee and fall head over heels with the Love It or Leave It $400,000 game show. Thursday nights, you could play the Love It or Leave It game show where you can love your prize or leave it for another. Play with your club card to earn drawing entries. Top prize is 10 grand in cash. It's time for Love It or Leave It. Only at Potawatomi. Learn more at pacebait.com. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. Hey, our friends at Master Z's. If you are still, kind of feeling like, now's the time to do some things inside, whether it's an indoor bar, shuffleboard, pool table, accessories to all of that, darts, dartboards, all that kind of good stuff. They've got it. But as the warm weather starts to creep in next week, I think it's going to be back into the 40s and 50s, that you may be going, you know what, maybe I need to spruce up the patio a little bit. There's some patio furniture that I've been wanting. There's some new stuff coming in. Get it while the getting is good. That's our friends at Master Z's on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. 262-746-5931. 262-746-5931. Whether it's fire pits, gas ones, or wood ones. You've got patio furniture, the umbrellas. You've got outdoor lighting, hammocks, grilling accessories, grills for that matter. They have it all. Check it out. That's Master Z's on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. Master Z's on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. Tell them we sent you. Rob and his staff are really, one, they're really knowledgeable. And two, people come from all over because the quality of this stuff is so amazing. So amazing. That's Master Z's on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. As they say, you can see it today, get it tomorrow. Good stuff. Let's see here. Dale said, hey, the Bucks have no energy, and the coach was another mistake. If we don't improve our play, we're going to get swept in the first round of the playoffs. Right? I 100% agree. Nick says the Bucks have been overhyped for years. Thankfully, they won a championship, but we're very lucky in doing so. Well, look. They weren't lucky. You win a championship, you're not. You got to have some luck. But people want to say, oh, they got so lucky that Kevin Durant's toe was on the line. No, his toe was on the line. That's it, right? It could have been a foul. It could have been a turnover. It could have been something else that had that game that close that they did to make that game close. They could have had one or two things go against them. Otherwise, that game could have been a blowout. The Chris Middleton got hit on the wrist as he was going up. Nobody called that. That should have been a foul. That should have been 2 more points at the line. So, yes, that's a circumstance in which they say, oh, that's what we're going to point to. But what people tend to forget about is everything that leads up to that point. You don't win a game on one shot. In basketball, you do. It's a final shot, but you don't win a game on one shot. It's like, go back to the Super Bowl. Everybody talks about Shanahan and the mismanagement. But what I look at is, where they lose that game? They lost that game. They lost the momentum when Christian McCaffrey fumbled. That turned the tide because Kansas City, they were about ready to be punched and knocked out. And that turned the tide. That gave Kansas City their next breath. They earned that. And San Francisco gave that away. So, yeah, you can say, oh, my God, they got lucky. But I don't. Yes, they did, but I don't buy that was the only play in which they earned it. You know what I mean? That's my argument to that. This one is from Nick, who also says the Brewers can at least show us what young guys who are excited about playing can do, and they make watching fun. Dale says the Bucks have no energy, and the coach was another mistake. Mark says 100% accurate on this poor excuse of a Bucks team. The whole thing about Damian Lillard not wanting to be here. You don't know. I mean, I don't know if he is interested. I don't know if he hasn't fit in. I don't know what's going on the court, off the court, in the locker room. I don't know. There's something innately different. Now, we can all say that maybe Drew Holiday was the straw that stirred the drink. That's true. We talk about it all the time. You got to have chemistry both off the court and on the court. Is Giannis, and here's another thing that I want to bring up. We talk about Jordan Love and what he did with the wide receivers, what he did with the offensive line, getting down, lowering himself, if you will, to raise everybody up. Rodgers wouldn't do it. Rodgers said, what? Say it with me. Let Cobby coach him up. You're right. Let Cobby coach him up. And then when I get there, they will be up near my level. And I thought to myself, what a condescending, arrogant SOB. You can't lower yourself to talk about guys to get them up to your level, but yet you want them at your level without talking to them. Can't do that. But yet the very next year at Jets camp, we all know what he said, how important it is to get in there early and get everybody on the same page. And what did he say? And get them up to my level. Okay, so that said, does it transfer over? Is Giannis that guy? On the road, is Giannis getting everybody together? Say, hey, let's go out. We're gonna go hang out. Did Giannis get pissed off that he didn't win one of the defensive awards last year and has just said, well, screw it. It's a popularity contest. I'm not playing defense the way I was, because he's not playing the same either. So I don't know. I don't know. I'd love to hear the excuses, the arguments, and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, all you got to do is watch. All you got to do is watch. What we should start doing is compiling what we should call laziness videos. Now, here's the other argument. And this one comes in from Dale. Dale says, hey, Bill, everybody in the NBA plays exactly the same way. They play lazy defense until it comes down to the very last shot, and then all of a sudden they have hands in the face, and they're really trying at that point. Why is that? I don't care. I don't care what the Celtics do. I don't care what Miami does. I don't care what LeBron does. What I care about is what I see on the floor out of this team, our team, the team that is talented. Nobody is sitting here saying this team sucks. They don't have any talent. They're terrible. What we're all saying is this team has talent, and look at the way they play. And they've changed coaches. Budenholzer was here. He wasn't the voice to get it done. Griffin was here. He's a player's guy. He's gonna bring them together. He didn't get it done. Doc comes in. He's gonna crack the whip. He hasn't gotten it done. He's 3-7. Nothing's changed. And nobody in this state, nobody wants to pick on Giannis. Oh my God, he'll leave. He'll leave. Who cares? This was when Brett Favre threw the pass to Donald Driver when everybody else was open in front of him. And he threw the pass to Driver, and it gets picked off. And I'll never forget one of the higher-ups coming out of the box, PO'd, beyond PO'd, because he'd seen this before. Wash, rinse, repeat, saying, we can lose with anybody. What are we keeping this guy around for when he's going to do the same thing over and over and over again? And we're still going to lose. 100% correct. This is not about season wins. This is not about playoff wins. This is about championships. He gives you the best shot at winning. But I'm sitting here watching highlights right now, dunking over him. This is the Memphis Grizzlies, for God's sakes, dunking over him. He's looking up. You know what? You better wear some goggles like Horace Grant used to. You know why? Otherwise, you're going to take somebody's junk right in the eye. Oh, Doc, what happened? What happened to you, sir? Giannis, what happened to you? Oh, well, I got something in my eye. Oh, what was it? We have to figure out what exactly scratched the cornea here. That's an embarrassing statement. I lost my eyesight because I took some junk in the eye. You better start playing some damn defense. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. If you want to do so, would love to hear from you. 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, by all means, go ahead and do so. Our buddy Dwayne at Dwayne's Cover It All. Boat covers, upholstery, awning, and if you want to do like a bimini top, if you want to do a travel cover, if you have an awning out in front of your business, if you have, say, the sails over top of your patio, whatever it is, get it done. Hell, out in Midwest Family Broadcasting, I just saw that they're redoing some chairs out there. They're buying them, buying parts for them, refurbishing them, putting them back together. If you have office furniture, office chairs need to be reupholstered. The armrests are all cracked and split up and nasty. Now, call Dwayne. DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Call him 715-870-2119. 715-870-2119. Up in Wausau, it is worth it. There are companies all over the upper Midwest that are sending them stuff just to kind of preserve some of their financial aspects, so to speak. It's a lot cheaper to get it refurbished and make it like new than to go buy new. You know what I mean? So get a hold of Dwayne, DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hearts of fire, streets of stone.
I've been telling you a long time that one of the better the best, in my opinion, water softening system on the market, that is the Connecticut water softening system. And our friends at the Water Doctors, John Alley and the gang, they do a magnificent job, not only with the installation of these things, but also they are very philanthropic in the community. They do a lot of stuff for veterans and military members and their families. But one of the things that I loved when I got home was to take a shower. When you have hard water, we were in Vegas and you could just feel it. You just kind of felt nasty. I don't even know how to explain it. You just did. Both Kristen and I were coming home. Our flight landed at 1:30 in the morning in Milwaukee. And we both looked at each other. We got home. We said, I'm going to get a shower. We're going to go both good, just to feel good and clean again. I mean, you notice the difference when you have a really good water softening system versus not. And the Connecticut is by far the best. Get a hold of our friends at the Water Doctors, H2 the letter O, H2odoctors.com, H2 the letter O doctors.com, and they can tell you all about it. And if you are, if you're in La Crosse or if you're in Oostburg or if you're in Elkhart Lake, if you're in Menominee, Marinette, whatever, give them a call. And if they don't service your area, that's fine, because they'll put you in touch with another authorized dealer that does. And they'll work with you too. They're good people. And that's John Alley and the staff over at the Water Doctors. 262-549-7733. 262-549-7733. That's the Water Doctors, and they are just terrific, terrific people. But I'm telling you, you notice it when you don't have clean water, big time. Michael says, I thought the Bucks had a really talented and deep team. Then they go and get rid of a bunch of good players, and the guys that they got are average at best. This is from Ellen. Ellen says, been at a couple of Bucks games this year. You're 100% correct. We get a lot of guys standing around right in front of us. Our seats are 3 rows off for my husband's business behind the Bucks bench, at the Bucks bench, she says. And she says that you get a lot of guys with their arms in the air, just watching the shot go up and then starting to trot to the other end of the floor. I'm always screaming offensive boards. And one time Bobby Portis looked at me as if I was screaming some F-bomb at him, like I didn't know what I was talking about. When did offensive rebounds not become a part of the game? Ellen, don't know. It is sacrilege. Unless they're standing there and it falls in their lap, guys aren't fighting for the basketball. At least not yet. Maybe they will later. I don't know. But I get you. You've only been to 3 games this year? Your husband has season tickets. You've only been to 3 games? Do you just not want to go? Or is it because he's always taking clients or something? Not that I know what your husband does, but okay. Gotcha. Golf Guy says, hey, by the way, have you seen the pictures of Jordan Love working out with Drew Brees? This is the kind of thing that fans want to see, a quarterback working hard instead of going into a darkness retreat. He's working to improve his craft. Golf Guy, no, I haven't. I've heard about it, but I haven't. But Rodgers used to do that stuff. It wasn't until the last 2 or 3 years of Rodgers being in Green Bay that he got a little wigged out. Most of the time he was at the OTAs. Most of the time he was doing something. Now, he was playing golf in celebrity golf classics and stuff and pro-ams, and he traveled around. I mean, when he was with Danica Patrick, he was over meeting the Dalai Lama and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine if players want to go do that. I don't have a problem with it. But it wasn't until the last few years of him being in Green Bay that he started taking off on the ayahuascas and the darkness retreats and, needing to go to South America and all that. I mean, I don't know what all he needed. Remember, he was over in the Hawaiian Islands. I think at one point, that type of thing. I don't know at what point things changed. I think it was, the drafting of Jordan Love. It was right around at that time, that period of time, that I'm not going to say became anti-organization, but started to feel his oats, started to know that he was the king of the mountain and he was going to flex his muscles. And he was going to not only know he was king of the mountain, but put himself on an even higher mountain. But for the most part, what you hope for, and Golf Guy, I appreciate the email or the comments over in the live stream, but what you hope for is that Jordan Love doesn't follow down those steps, that path. There's something different about him. In meeting him, talking to him on and off the air. And if you were listening last week, I thought it was great insight. But there's something different about him than there was with Favre and Rodgers. Now, Favre, I got here in 99. I came into the state of Wisconsin in 99. Favre was already a god. I don't know what Favre was prior to that. I'd heard he was just a big, fun, goofy, good old boy, for lack of a better term. I mean, 23, 24, 25 years old. That was his age. But he, from the stories I gathered when I first got here and the stories even his dad told us when he worked with us, was Brett was a 25, 26, 27-year-old trapped in a 14-year-old's body, And it wasn't until he realized that he needed to study, he needed to hone his craft later in his career to stay on top of his game, that he really started to buckle down, because Favre could have been far greater than he was. When you talk about heart and talent, Favre could have been far greater than he was. He was a thrower and had the heart of a lion. Rodgers was a passer and a quarterback. I don't know what Jordan Love is yet, but Rodgers had everything and maximized it. Favre, I remember Brian Noble telling me a story once that it was at the end of Brian's career, and they knew Favre was good. And he begged Brett to study with him, begged him, said, Brett, you just, please. And Brett confirmed this when we did the retirement discussion up in Green Bay on the night that they retired his number. He begged Brett to study and to learn. And, Brett would always tell him, hey, Nobes, I'll just go out and wing it, man. I'll go out and wing it. We'll win. Don't worry. I'll go out and wing it. That's what he would tell him. And then obviously Noble gets hurt and he doesn't ever play again. But he begged him. He said, look, if he studied and really learned the game and understood the nuances of the game and where things were coming from, he wouldn't have taken as many hits. He wouldn't have thrown as many picks. He would have been a much better quarterback. But Brian told me, he said at one point, he said, I think Brett was afraid to study because everybody else had studied and knew it. And he was afraid to look stupid in front of everybody. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. 877-867-1670. I don't know what Love is yet, though. But Love's doing what Favre and Rodgers did. Early on in your career, you go out, you work at your skill a little bit. I don't think Favre did as much. I know Rodgers did. Rodgers was doing stuff in the offseason. He was trying to get better. Rodgers had the magnanimous chip on his shoulder, obviously, from falling in the draft after being what's many consider to be the number one overall pick. And he fell and fell and fell and fell and fell into the 20s, 24, and all of a sudden the Packers grab him. But so he had that chip on his shoulder for a long time. So it wasn't until the last few years that he kind of went off the rails a little bit. Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Got a lot more to get to. Today, we got good stuff today, too. We got Kevin Holden from CBS 58 going to join us later. Mike Clemens going to join us a little bit later. Got our buddy Jeremy from Mama Tried and the Flat Out Friday crew. We're going to talk about how you can win a VIP experience with myself and Kristen. And we're going to talk about that, where we will take you inside the Fiserv Forum, inside the inner portion of the track. You can watch the races, the motorcycle races, how they do it, all that kind of stuff, because we'll let Jeremy explain it, but it's fascinating and it's so much fun if you're a cycle enthusiast and it's kind of nice. You're still stuck in the doldrums of winter coming up next week, and you're kind of like, we haven't turned the corner yet. You're really not out riding yet, but you still get a chance to go and hang out with a bunch of Harley Davidson and motorcycle people, and you still get a chance to go see some of the best bike builders in the country and in the world, bring some of their best models and best displays to the Rave Eagles Club in Milwaukee. So we got all that coming up a little bit later on today as well. Stay tuned. Got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Do you love winning? This February, head to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee and fall head over heels with the Love It or Leave It $400,000 game show. Thursday nights, you can play the Love It or Leave It game show where you can love your prize or leave it for another. Play with your club card to earn drawing entries. Top prize is $10 grand in cash. It's time for Love It or Leave It. Only at Potawatomi. Learn more at PageSpake.com. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. You're looking at the garage floor right now, and you're going, man, what a bunch of crap. You got salt, you have sand, you've got stains, and you're like, maybe I should probably, think about cleaning this out. Well, the weather's warm. You can do it, but you can call my buddy Sean, 262-443-2852. From Green Bay to Milwaukee to Madison, everything in between. Epoxy flooring done right. They did my gym downstairs. They're going to do my garage this year, but you can do epoxy flooring, polyurea coatings. They paint as well. So they do a lot of different stuff, but epoxy flooring done right. And if you really want to make it easy and maintenance free, you just, sweep that stuff up and it just comes right off. No big deal. I had the same thing happen in the gym downstairs. I had a little bit of water that came in because I'd stupidly left the grill on the backside of my house. Long story, but the water was hitting off the grill. Instead of moving away from the house, it was splashing into the house, and it went downstairs. And it left a little bit of a mud stain, and I just took the mop and went bloop, and it came right up just because it's epoxy flooring and nothing sticks to it. It's great. You sweep it right up, you vacuum it right up, whatever. It's awesome. Epoxy flooring done right. Go to epoxyflooringdoneright.com. That's epoxyflooringdoneright.com, or call them 262-443-2852, 262-443-2852, and see if I'm not kidding, man. I mean, that stuff is for real. Really, really good stuff. 877-867-1670. John says the Packers quarterback curse, blessed with the arm of a football god, cursed with the ego of a rock star, and hit a single about themselves. Let's hope that Love doesn't turn into that. I remember when Rodgers took over, and one of the reasons Aaron Rodgers started doing his press conference at his locker was because he didn't want to do it the way Favre did it. Because Favre stood up in front of everybody, and Favre would answer his own questions. It was funny because you could say something to Brett, hey, 49ers got a tough defense. The Bosa off the edge is fantastic. And Favre would go, yeah, well, can I get away from Bosa? I could probably scramble a little bit. And and then he said, you got to see the guys across the middle, you got to give them a little extra time. So I need to be able to move. And then, can I get away? Do I still have the ability to get away? But he would go on. And then you look at everybody, you're like, do we ask anything? It was like 4 questions into an hour, and okay. And then Brett's like, okay, that's it. Thanks. It's like, so Rodgers wanted to be the anti-Favre. Rodgers wanted to be the intellect. He wanted to stand at his locker. He didn't want to be bigger than anybody else, but ultimately it was funny because everything he despised, he became, which was really ironic. So you hope that Love doesn't fall into the trappings and down that particular path. There's always something to be said for fame. It does go to your head in some way, shape, or form. I've seen it with so many different athletes, and rightfully so, because you're breathing a different air, so to speak. But it's the ones that realize, no, the air for you is the same as the air for me. Those are the guys that stay humble. Those are the guys that stay hard. Those are the guys that stay working. Those are the guys that usually have that level of success, both on and off the field. I think Favre had some talented teams. They never got him enough help at the wide receiver position. But that's why the shame of it is with Rodgers and those teams, because it just seemed like Favre was able to get to NFC championship games and such, but he had some talented teams, but he had some really good defenses. Rodgers never had that really good defense until 2010, 2011. And then you saw the results. They won a championship, and then they went, 15-1, and before they got knocked off in the postseason. And they had some other good teams. 2014 was a really good team. They should have won it then, and they didn't. So for Rodgers, at times when you look at, 5 NFC championship games, you only won 1. That's why I defend him so hard, because, man, some of those teams should have never been there. I think we were all kind of, I just remember covering the team on the daily for the network and thinking to myself, this isn't even real. How are they doing this? They're not that good, But it came together for them to get to an NFC championship game.
I'll defend Rodgers and Favre a little bit in that I think a lot of quarterbacks get a little weird in later stages of their career. They're all stubborn. They want to keep doing things the way they've always been doing them. So I don't think it's just Rodgers and Favre that have gotten stubborn in their old age. Like Russell Wilson had his system and Peyton Manning had his system. Maybe it's something about the small town of Green Bay and there's no owner. Maybe it is a little bit different, but it's not completely like unheard of for other quarterbacks to be old and weird as they age.
No, I mean, I'm just trying to think. We know Russell Wilson's bizarre in his demands and his needs, so to speak. Give me another quarterback that was that demanding and has made the same headlines in the weirdness factor that has won a championship and would be a Hall of Fame.
I didn't say Rodgers wasn't the most weird. Like he's definitely on the extreme end of the spectrum.
I'm trying to think, like, Peyton Manning worked hard. I mean, he demanded that, and Peyton Manning was like in the hot and the cold tubs with the Surface Pro, bringing guys in so he could talk to them about plays and such. He was hard, but he was hard on everybody around him because he was hard on himself, and he helped you raise that level. Cam Newton, he was a goof, but he never won a championship. He got there, and once he got there, that was it. That was his last hurrah. When he got humiliated on stage after the fact and walked off and refused to answer questions, that was the beginning of the end for him. I'm trying to think. You look at Brady. Brady was in a different era, but Brady took less money to keep better players around him because he knew the value of a team. And Brady was the guy that was, remember, when he went to Tampa, he was the guy that during COVID, when they weren't even supposed to work out, was taking guys to parks and high school fields to work out.
And he demanded Antonio Brown and he demanded Gronk. But with Brady, you didn't feel like he was saying empty words, and he delivered with the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So that's the difference. And also, like, he wanted Gronk and AB. Rodgers wants Allen Lazard and Robert Tonyan. It's a little different.
And then even then, he tried to help Antonio Brown until Antonio Brown just completely went off the deep end. But I'm just trying to think of quarterbacks that won Super Bowls that kind of went above and beyond. Like Dak Prescott got this vision of himself where he's demanding this and this and this. I'm really interested to see what he's going to do with the salary this year, because if he doesn't come down below $50 million, then like you're one of the highest paid quarterbacks and you ain't won jack, man. And you've got even your team criticizing you, and you're still going to take all the money? You're still going to do this and demand this? So I'm waiting to see what he does. Got a lot more. Really interesting stuff. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this. Stay right where you're at.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Bucs closed out the first half of the season last night in Memphis with a 113-110 loss to the Grizzlies. Giannis had 35 points and 12 assists for his 43rd double-double of the season. Damian Lillard finished with 24, but wasn't enough, though, as the Deer now sit 35-21 on the year, good for third in the Eastern Conference. Yesterday also saw the Bucs sign free agent forward Danilo Gallinari for the rest of the season. Now it's time for the NBA's All-Star break, and taking part in those festivities in Indianapolis for the All-Star game will be Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. Turning to the Badgers, they were back on the practice floor yesterday and looking to build some momentum after beating Ohio State earlier this week. They're in Iowa tomorrow for a 1:15 tip against the Hawkeyes. The Badgers are unclear if they'll have their important bench member Johnny Blackwell back from a lower body injury or fellow reserve Kamari McGee, who is still nursing a foot injury.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, spring training is officially underway for the Brewers down in Maryville, Arizona. Their first game in Cactus League action will be February 24th against the Padres. And opening day will be here before you know it, March 28th, when they're out in New York to take on the Mets. And finally, it's a big weekend for Wisconsin hockey. The men will be on the road at Ohio State, and the women will host a top 5 Minnesota team. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. It's good to have you back. Appreciate you being here. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, that's a great way to do so. Again, 877-867-1670. I'm going back, Grant, and I got to remember, I'm trying to think of really, really successful quarterbacks who got weird. And I can't remember. You know, Terry Bradshaw got into the acting side of things and tried to do a country album, which was terrible. But beyond that, I can't think of people that were weird. You know what I mean?
Was Marino prickly? I know he never.
Marino was an ass.
Okay.
He was just an ass. He was an ass to be an ass.
So there was nothing deeper going on. He was just a prick.
He's just an SOB,
Okay.
You know, and I felt good the day that I actually said that, and I got a chance to tell him and his people that. So, and I was applauded by the people that were next to us from Sports Illustrated. As a matter of fact, Maggie Gray was one of them who was there when I went on, and they were all aghast, and because they had just got done interviewing. They didn't want to piss him off because they always, keep it in the back of their pocket that maybe one day they wouldn't mind doing a story with him because she worked for Sports Illustrated at the time. But they're like, oh. And the minute he left, they all walked over and go, congratulations, because he's a jerk. And I said, I know. Joe Namath got weird, but he didn't get weird until after he retired. Joe Namath didn't get weird until after his playing days were over. And I'm talking now more like salary cap era dudes. Ryan Leaf was a head case, but he never won anything. But when you look at guys, Drew Brees, Joe Flacco, Trent Dilfer, Tom Brady, you start to go through the lists. Russell Wilson's a bizarre cat. We kind of threw him into that list. But when you start to look at the list of quarterbacks, Troy Aikman, I remember Troy Aikman, there was a picture of him in his house sitting at the end of this long dinner table, almost like a castle. And before he got married, it was, the rumors were, well, he's gay, and that was where people went because he was alone. And it was like, no, the guy's just alone. I mean, no. And then he ended up getting married. But he was never a weird dude. He liked solitude. He liked studying. He liked kind of enveloping himself in football because of the team that they had. I'm trying to think of who else kind of all of a sudden started making headlines because they were crapping in a 5-gallon bucket. I mean, Favre was a hunter. He was a fisherman. He wasn't weird. But I'm trying to think of quarterbacks that have won something that then put themselves on this unbelievably high pedestal. I can't think of them off the top of my head. At least not the successful ones. So anyway, I don't know how we got down that rabbit hole, but we did, and so be it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Let's get back at it. Let's see here. We got Mark the mailman is on hold. Mark, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Oh, not much, Bill. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
Before I ask this question, I just want to preface my question with, I'm not a huge fan of firing people.
Okay.
With that said, do you think John Horst might be on the hot seat after this season if it's going the way you and I are watching it going? He's built this team, and I love the moves he's made, but we're on our third coach in under a year, and it's looking like it's definitely not the coaches. A coaching problem. At some point, ownership's going to have to look at Horst and be like, man, this is your team.
Let me ask you this, my opinion is this. My opinion is nothing is done without Giannis' okay. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So as much as I want to look at Horst and go, boy, that Adrian Griffin move, that was not good. Or maybe it was something that, because I didn't understand the Adrian Griffin move. I just didn't. It's still kind of mind-boggling to me how they went in that direction. Okay. But I know Giannis signed off on it. I mean, Giannis was the guy that I guess he thought that this was the guy. So I don't know if I'd blame John Horst because you had the players take ownership of that. But there is no doubt that he's put together a talented team and he's kept them viable and competitive and all that kind of stuff. But I can't imagine him being on the hot seat unless there is a relationship that is fragmented inside that organization with John Horst. And I would specifically say between Giannis or some of these star players and John Horst. Mm-hmm. Maybe they look negatively in that way. But I can't imagine that because he's done everything that Giannis basically has wanted him to do, right? He brought in Holiday. They made the move for Holiday. They made the move for Damian Lillard. They stole him from Miami when he was clearly headed to Miami. He's done everything they wanted him to do. And I don't think I can fault him for that.
No, I can't either. And I was just we were talking about it last night because we're watching the game unfold as you guys were, just in awe. We're getting our butts kicked by a team that's 19-30 or something. I mean, it's crazy. And what you said earlier too, you could see Brook Lopez just like he looks defeated. Not only that, I mean, he's playing so much defense. After a while, he's just lumbering, just trying to get back to the other side of the court when guys like Bobby Portis are just standing there. Damian Lillard, we knew he couldn't play defense when we picked him up, but I mean, you can at least try.
Right.
So anyway, great show, Bill. I love hearing you guys, especially when I'm out here delivering the mail. It just, my day just, it flies by. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great show.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Absolutely. That's a great question. Would John Horst be on the I don't think so. The only thing that you can say now is you're in the corner. Where do you go? If you're this team, if you're this franchise, you can look for scapegoats. Absolutely. You can try to run it back. And you're hoping that something ignites this team. I just don't know what it would be. I don't know if it's something outwardly they have to look at and get humiliated in some way to where they stand up and say, okay, enough. I don't know if they are unbelievably fragile to where they need to be patted on the back. I really don't know. I know that I'm tired of the selfish look at me style of play. But on the other hand, they, a few years back, won a championship. So you still have that swagger and that cachet, and you've earned that. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to turn this thing around for them. I really don't.
I'll defend John Horst in that I can look at basically every move that he's made and been like, yeah, I can't blame you for that. Like the Adrian Griffin hire was a swing. I think it was, they hired him when the roster was a lot more stable. Then they had an opportunity to trade for Dame and that kind of, so it didn't work out. There's not really a single trade or a move that John Horst has made where I'm like, that was dumb. There's moves that haven't worked, but I can understand his thinking on just about everything he's done.
Sure. And I can too. I don't think anybody out there can argue that John Horst has not been a good general manager. Could you?
No, 6 or 7 months ago, I would have said there's no way they could trade for Dame. They don't have the pieces.
Right.
And he found the pieces. Now, if the Dame trade doesn't work out, fine. But I don't think any honest NBA fans or Bucks fans would around and say, well, I wouldn't have acquired Damian Lillard when it happened.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be true.
This team, and I'm just sitting here watching some of this right now. This team was second in offensive efficiency with Adrian Griffin and then Prunty. They are 23rd now since Doc took over. They are 3-7 in his tenure. I don't know if he's cracking the whip, and they're not, and they're used to being coddled. Their defensive proficiency is terrible. I mean, everybody, it's not just us, everybody's questioning them now. Maybe this is what it takes, is this team to be considered a true NBA contender, and yet they're being humiliated right now on national TV. Maybe not just here in their own backyard, but they're being humiliated on national TV. I'm watching Tim Legler right now just rip them. Just talk about everything they're doing wrong. How bad are things right now for the Bucks is the headline. So I don't know what it's going to take, but you don't have big moves left. I'll tell you that. You don't have like suddenly you're going to pick up somebody that's going to come in and raise the level of defensive probabilities for this team to suddenly start actually buying in. There's nothing else there. This is it. Let's go to Dave listening to us in Caledonia. Dave, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Oh, Big U, nice to talk to you again. It's been a while.
You too, pal. What's up?
Hey, I was talking about the quarterback thing. You guys forgot about Jim McMahon when he was won the Super Bowl with the Bears.
Yep.
I mean, he was acting kind of like a rock star after that.
Yes, you are correct. He would be the guy. That he certainly bought into the lifestyle. Yes, you are 100% correct. He might have been at the time king of the weird because he was he wanted to do movies and commercials and everything. Yeah. So, and he was more, if you want to call it, more rebellious than anything. But yes, you are 100% correct. I completely forgot about the antics of Jim McMahon. It's funny because we just saw Jim McMahon this past week. So it's funny. I completely forgot about it.
And then he came into the Packers too.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. It was funny because when the Packers won, he came and he was here as a backup to Brett. And he helped Brett kind of meander through the postseason and told him what it was going to be like. He had become more humbled by then. He wasn't a starter. He was a backup. He was still kind of a rebel, but he was also now the older man looking for the voice of reason to come out of him. And I remember him telling me some stories about all of that, saying what he told Brett and how to react and what's going to happen. And yeah, all that kind of stuff. So really interesting stuff from Jim McMahon. But yeah, I agree with you. He was a nut.
All right, you have a good weekend, man.
All right, buddy. You too. Dave in Caledonia. See, in Caledonia, you're kind of creeping into that Bears territory as you start. You can smell what Illinois is cooking, so to speak, because you're down there near Caledonia, Racine, Kenosha area. You're right there. You're just above the border, man. So he's got that touch. He's down there near that Bears territory. So I get it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Got something, bring it. We would love to hear from you. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Skipper Buds. Skipper Buds, a lot of great deals left over from the boat show. Get a hold of my buddy Todd out there in Pewaukee. Boat sales, service, storage, they've got it all. 262-544-1200, 262-544-1200. Skipper Buds in Pewaukee. They have new boats, used boats. Best part about it is a lot of the new boats that were at the boat show, they still have boat show pricing. So get a hold of Todd and say, hey, I'm looking at this. I've been thinking about this. The weather's getting warmer. I'm starting to get that fever a little bit. We know the cold's going to come back. We understand that. We live in Wisconsin, for God's sakes. It could snow in June. But you also know that come summertime, God, do we want to enjoy it? And what a better way to do it than on some of the inland lakes or maybe even the big lake, depending on what size of a boat you buy. And pontoons, runabouts, ski boats, fishing boats, you name it, they've got it. That's our friends at Skipper Buds in Pewaukee. 262-544-1200. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Hey, Wayne, shopping for a new door?
I sure am.
This fiberglass door is really strong. We love ours. Do you need something more dependable?
Yes, something that's durable, dent resistant, knows how to take a hit, and is going to last for years.
We're still talking about the door, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Of course.
Wayne Larrabee and Jeff Levering shopping together at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin? What could happen next? How about 0% interest for up to 3 years? Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months? I'm Gina Della from Pella. This incredible offer from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin is only available until February 29th. So hurry. We offer a wide range of window and door styles to perfectly match your home's unique design. Start customizing today with 0% interest for up to 3 years. Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months. Only at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details on lines 22924.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
This weekend, they've got music. Rally Point going to be up and cranking. Steel Tank Brewing Company out in Oconomowoc. Rally Point out back. The great big music hall that they just built. Beautiful. They get a lot of great local bands there. And you got to check out Rally Point. Go in for the food in the front side of things for Steel Tank Brewing. But you can check out Rally Point on the backside. And, man, is that place fantastic. And they did it right when you talk about the music venue. Building that thing out there. And it's not, for 2,000 people or 1,000 people. It's for 300, 350 people. But it is, Rally Point is just beautiful. They did a fantastic job. And they've got a lot of great local bands that play there. So if you're looking for live music, that is the place to go. If you're looking for a brand new venue, that's the place to go. And if you're looking for something that's done right, that's the place to go. That is Rally Point, right behind Steel Tank Brewing on Robrook Lane in Oconomowoc, right behind the Exonia Bank. off of 67. This one's from Elmer. Elmer says, hey, Bill, that possession last night where Brooke Lopez was running into Dame and Dame was falling down and trying to put up a last shot, that is a microcosm of what's wrong with this team. Not knowing where to be, not caring where to be, not playing hard, not hustling. It's a microcosm of what Doc Rivers is now dealing with that Adrian Griffin put into place. I'm not going to say that Adrian Griffin was the fall guy in all of this and that he did all this. I don't think I'm going to do that. Because if that were the case, it would have changed. Doc Rivers was thrown into a tough situation because he's got a lot of guys that have had success, that are considered really good players, and a lot of guys on a team that follow them, not the coach. And now you've got to figure out a way to deal with that mentality and to try to get the stars. There's a hierarchy. You're the head coach, but the stars run the team. So you've got to figure out a way to get the stars to respect you, to listen to you, to buy in. So the stars then begin to police downward. So if guys behind them aren't getting it done and aren't hustling, is that a product of practice, the way they just go about their business? Because the stars aren't going to do it, so I don't have to. I'll never forget when Michael Redd first came to the Bucs. We're at a practice, and Michael Redd, man, he came out of the he was as good of a shooter as he was. He was a decent defender at the time. He later on in life, he understood the NBA and said, "Oh, you don't play defense, just get better at shooting." But he came into the league, and I'll never forget, he was going against Ray Allen. And I mean, he was giving Ray Allen all kinds of hell, and George Karl loved it. And Ray Allen got pissed and got in his face and was, hey, Rook, we don't do that. What are you doing? You're showing me up, making me look bad. And all he was doing was playing defense. And George Karl loved it because he said, what have you earned that gives you the right to say nobody has to play defense against you? Because that's not the way it is in the NBA. At least it wasn't. And it's kind of like, and I'm not at practices and such, but it's kind of like if you get the stars to buy in, the stars will then police themselves and it'll work down. So if somebody's not playing good defense against you, if you're playing tough defense against them, you don't want guys to acquiesce. What you want is hard scrimmages, hard practices, and concentrate to details. Going through the motions doesn't do anybody any good. John says Giannis and his playing of the general manager has hurt the locker room and chemistry, much like 12 did in Green Bay. I don't know. That you know what? That's a good question for Jim Ozarski. And we'll ask Jim and just say, is there an honest assessment? Is Giannis taking that next step to be that leader to raise everybody up? Can Giannis and Dame work together to raise everybody up? Because it certainly looks like things are regressing and not getting any better. Now let me throw out the olive branch of hope. Okay. When they come back from this break, it's not a 40 game season. It's a 20 something game sprint. How many games do they have left when they come out of this thing now? Grant, do you know off the top of your head?
What was that, Bill? Sorry.
How many games do they have left? It's like 20 something, right? It's not a vast amount of games.
Way fewer than you always expect. Yeah. We're going to be like 2 weeks away from the playoffs before you know it. Yeah. The All-Star break's way closer to the end of the season than the beginning.
26 games. While you were talking that quick, I went and counted them up. 26 games. Out of an 82 game season, that's what they have left. 26 games. That's a sprint. You've got Boston twice in those 26 games. You have got an upstart Minnesota team, Philadelphia, Charlotte twice in a back-to-back on Tuesday and Thursday. Got the Clippers, you got Golden State, you got the Lakers. You still got to go on that West Coast swing. That's a tough one because you got Golden State, the Lakers, the Clippers, Sacramento before you come back and you see Philadelphia and Phoenix. Then you go back on the road to Boston. Then you get 3 at home, Brooklyn, Oklahoma City, and the Lakers. You still got the Lakers twice now. It's not an easy schedule by any stretch of the imagination. You still have, Memphis. You still have New York. You still, you got a couple at the end of the season against Orlando. But it's not an easy stretch. And they've got quite a few nationally televised games. When they come out of the break, they are on ESPN right away. Then the next game is on a Sunday on ABC. 2 games later, back to ESPN. They got quite a few nationally televised games. And I was just sitting here listening during the break. And, people aren't giving up on them. Because they have talent. It's like they're listening to this show right now and kind of reiterating what it is we just said, that you can't give up on them because of the talent they have. It's going to take something to put it all together. It's going to take something to kind of be the linchpin to them saying, okay, we got this. So we'll see. Rick says, I'm tired of watching Bucks basketball. I'm on to better things. I'd rather watch guys pickleball than watch this basketball team try to play defense. It's embarrassing. Oof. Pickleball, really? Did they just have was it Martina Navratilova or something like that? Or some kind of a celebrity, Andre Agassi and John McEnroe in a pickleball tournament or something? Was that just honors? Am I misremembering that? I can't remember, but I think they did. I think they just had some kind of a pickleball thing that they had old stars that are now playing pickleball. It's like, okay. You'd rather watch pickleball than the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know if I'd go that far. If I want to watch pickleball, I can go down the street. They play it down the street every day. And then on the weekends, and the amazing thing about pickleball, and I have to admit this, pickleball, it doesn't have an age range. I was down the street, I don't know, it was a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. And it wasn't cold, but it was colder. And they must have had a tournament or something going on down the street, down at the middle school. They have 4 or 5 pickleball courts down there. And I mean, the parking lot was full. There were people waiting to play. It was packed. And I think they do tournaments. And there was kids, young kids, playing pickleball. And then there was elderly people playing pickleball. So it's just not an old person who can't run the tennis courts anymore type of game. It's attracted more people for sure. This is from Q, who says the Bucks had the best record in basketball last season and lost in the first round. Regular season of the NBA means nothing come May. True, but this is what I'll say, Q. Last year, you saw it coming. If you watched them, and I mean really watched them, you saw it coming. Because it's one thing you watch everything up close and you're kind of picking apart plays and you're watching individuals play defense or offense and set picks. And, night in and night out, there's going to be lazy moments. I understand that. It's a grueling sport. It really is. So I give them credit for that. But what I saw was something that happened a lot. And it was the overview. And that was start off fast, get your confidence, play well. You get a 15-point, 17-point, 23-point lead. And then in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter, you'd watch that lead go to 2, go to 3, go to 1. And then the whole fourth quarter with the starters was this battle to be able to, down the stretch, win a ball game. And Giannis and Drew and Chris Middleton wasn't really playing a whole lot at that point. Bobby Portis said it more than anybody, but these are the wins that galvanize a team. These are the wins where they learn how to win. And I kept saying, no, these are the ones in which you got lazy and you barely won. Because you can't do it in the postseason against constantly good teams. Because you'll beat a lot of bad teams that way. Just turn it on when you need to and you'll beat the bad teams. But they expelled so much energy coming back. They expelled so much energy just trying to beat bad teams. Instead of just putting them away, resting your stars, and then allowing the backups to win it and cruise. They did it the same way all the time. And I kept saying, they're not going to win. As much as I want them to, and I can sit here and talk myself into believing it because you've got Dame with big shots and Giannis guarding the middle and being able to do the Euro step and bringing everybody in and kicking the ball back out. Now they've got an outside-inside game. And when Chris Middleton kind of gets on his game again and blah, blah, blah. And it's all wind, man. It just is. It's all wind. Because the one thing that you and I and everybody else can't calculate, even though we're looking at the offensive proficiency right now, it's gone from 2nd to 23rd in the league since Doc Rivers took over. Their ability to play defense is basically nil. They look disinterested. I mean, you can go on and on. You can't go over statistically what it is a team wants to do or feels and the energy they expel, and that's the one thing where you can say wash, rinse, repeat. They're not going to win. They're not going to win in the postseason. Not playing like this. If they come out over the next 26 games and they dominate 18 of them and they play really, really well and they get into a groove, I'll become a believer. 17, 18, 20, whatever, somewhere in that group. But if they come out and play really, really well in 5 of them, really poorly in 5 of them, and then the other 16 are nail biters, no, they're not going to win games. They're not even in, of the championship caliber capability at that point. Won't happen. Nick says, used to love watching the Bucks. Now it's so frustrating, hard to watch. It's like eating dryer lint and waiting for it to taste better. Zach says Giannis is threatened to leave if the Bucks didn't make a move, or they traded Holiday to bring in Lillard. Giannis wanted Griffin over Nick Nurse. Why, I have no idea. Giannis has to get a lot of the blame as well. That's what I was saying. I agree with you. And let's be honest, Giannis is not the best. Giannis had the moniker of being the best player in the NBA, the best player in the planet. He's not that anymore. Others have ascended above him. His game is the same. Here's the next question. Have we seen the ceiling now reached by Giannis? Because for a while it was, and he's young, he's only going to get better. He's getting bigger, he's getting stronger, he's only going to get better. Have we now seen the ceiling from Giannis? All of his game has now been exposed, and this is what it is. Have we seen that now too? That's another question. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and give us a shout. 877-867-1670. Our friends at Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brews out there on County Road K in Oconomowoc. They had the Love Special going on the other night. For those of you now, they have all kinds of other weekend specials, weekly menus that they put out each and every week. They've got the market that is open in the back. And it's just a really, atmospherically, it's a comfortable place to go. It just is. It's a really fun place to go. Tom and his staff have just really put something together out there via the expansion and such. It's a really comfortable environment to go and hang out in, whether it's for just a couple of drinks, some really good food, some barbecue, whatever it happens to be. Really great place. It's Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brews, County Road K in Oconomowoc. Go to boondocksbbqs.com. That's boondocksbbqs.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Do you love winning? This February, head to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee and fall head over heels with the Love It or Leave It $400,000 game show. Thursday nights, you could play the Love It or Leave It game show where you can love your prize or leave it for another. Play with your club card to earn drawing entries. Top prize is $10,000 in cash. It's time for Love It or Leave It. Only at Potawatomi. Learn more at PageSpace.com. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. Coming up, top of the hour, we're going to talk with Kevin Holden, CBS 58, going to talk some Brewers baseball with him. Bottom of the next hour, our buddy Jeremy from Flat Out Friday and Mama Tried, the motorcycle show for the Garage Build-Off. It's all coming to town next weekend. It's going to be in Milwaukee at the Fiserv Forum and over at the Rave Eagles Club. And what we are going to do, I love this thing, and I've been going to it for years, and I'm a huge supporter. And so they said, hey, let's put together a package and something to where we can give some stuff away. So we're going to put together a VIP package, a 2-night VIP package, whether you're coming into town from somewhere else or whether you're right here in the area of Milwaukee. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a VIP package. We'll take you into the pits down underneath behind the goings-on of the Fiserv Forum as the motorcyclists get ready to race. And then we're going to put you in the infield, which is kind of a cool perspective. You can stand behind all the people in the infield and kind of see how things work. You can have free reign, kind of walking around the VIP experience of the Fiserv Forum. And then they have a VIP package that is going to also be included for the Mama Tried motorcycle show. And that is going to be on Saturday night at the Rave Eagles Club. And that includes a bunch of different stuff that we'll talk about coming up. But there's drinks and snacks. It's all part of the VIP party lounge. It's the full Mama Tried experience. And there's limited tickets that are on sale for that as well. So if you don't win them here, which mid next week, we're going to give this thing away, but we're going to tell you how to get registered for this. And it's real simple. It's going to be all basically social media and between Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We're going to take all the hashtags of the Bill Michaels Show. It'll be Bill Michaels Show. One hashtag, Mama Tried, will be the next hashtag. We'll put all that stuff together. We're going to take all the people that register, and then one lucky person's going to get going to win. We're going to take all that. We've got I don't know what they do basically, but it takes all the analytics and puts it together, and it picks a name, and out it pops. So then we'll pick a name, and then one of you are going to get a chance to hang out on a Saturday night with Kristen and I, and then you're going to be with Jeremy and them for the Mama Tried VIP experience at the Eagles Club Ballroom, which is really cool in West Wisconsin Avenue, just west of the Marquette campus. So going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk more about that coming up and what it's all about, and because some people don't understand what the Flat Out Friday thing is or what the Mama Tried thing is and why it is what it is, why it's named that particular way. So we'll give you the entire history coming up here in about 45 minutes, so don't go anywhere. Should be a lot of fun. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Let's see here. Who else do we have? This is Paul says, and maybe it's time to put Goody in charge of the Bucks. It's funny because it went from Goody being a questionable general manager to now it's, kind of in Goody we trust, which is true. Which is true. I get that because what he put together and the way it all developed down the stretch, heck yeah. Rocket Knight says, hey, it seems like Giannis has people in his ears setting himself up for failure. I think that's the reason he didn't choose Nick Nurse to be the next head coach. I don't know how that went down. I really don't. I don't know how that went down.
Could it be as simple as Giannis is just a competitive son of a gun and didn't want to be now coached by a coach that bounced him out of the playoffs a couple of years ago? Could it be as simple as that?
That's true. That figured him out. Yeah. Yep. 100%. That I agree with. Yeah. I mean, Nick Nurse and the Toronto Raptors very quickly changed philosophy. They're the ones that originally, quote, built the wall and gave Giannis all kinds of fits in the postseason. And that philosophy against Giannis has worked in a lot of different areas. I remember the Miami Heat kind of did the same thing as best they could. And they just, the Miami Heat, though, they just out-hustled the Milwaukee Bucks last year. They just beat them that way. But, Michael says Giannis got offered a lot of money from the Lakers. He took less to stay in Milwaukee. I don't think that's true. The Bucks, because of retaining rights, have the ability to offer him more money than anybody. Am I wrong in my assumption there? Because that's the way the NBA set it up, that if you want to leave, you can leave, but you get less money to leave because they wanted drafted players to keep the teams that they were with, that they stayed there, that they were legacy players. That's the way the NBA set it up. Because if you can sign a supermax with Milwaukee, you would then take less money to go somewhere else. Because I don't think he ever made it to total free agency, did he? It was he had the ability to sign the supermax, and he did. Am I wrong in my thought there, Grant?
Yeah, he could make the most money with the Bucks.
That's what I thought.
Financially, yep.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I don't think he ever fully made it to free agency to where he was on the open market. I think it was the Bucks had the ability to sign him to the Supermax, and in those windows of opportunity, they did. So I don't think he ever made it. He could have gone. He could have forced his way to free agency, but I don't think he ever did. But I could be wrong. I'm not as astute at the salary cap and the situations in the NBA as I am in other areas. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's what it was. Let's do this. We'll step out, quick break, come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Hey, Wayne, shopping for a new door?
I sure am.
This fiberglass door is really strong. We love ours. Do you need something more dependable?
Yes, something that's durable, dent resistant, knows how to take a hit, and is going to last for years.
We're still talking about the door, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Of course.
Wayne Larrabee and Jeff Levering shopping together at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin? What could happen next? How about 0% interest for up to 3 years? Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months? I'm Gina Della from Pella. This incredible offer from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin is only available until February 29th. So hurry. We offer a wide range of window and door styles to perfectly match your home's unique design. Start customizing today with 0% interest for up to 3 years. Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months. Only at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details on lines 2/29/24.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Hey, if you are out in the La Crosse area and you're looking for a fish fry tonight, hello. Fish Fry Fridays are here. You can stop into Buzzard Billy's. They have a delicious battered fried cod dinner. It's available right now through Lent, throughout the Fridays. 2 or 3-piece dinner, hush puppies, and their hush puppies are awesome. I don't know. Their hush puppies are like the size of my meatballs. They're huge. Coleslaw, French fries, all that kind of stuff. And it's awesome. They have those seasoned fries, really, really good stuff. That's the hush puppies and such out there at Buzzard Billy's. Buzzard Billy's right on Pearl Street in downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Upstairs, maybe the other night you took that special someone out for an evening and you had a drink at the Starlight Lounge. And if you didn't, shame on you. Go to Buzzard Billy's for dinner, get the fish fry, then go upstairs, Starlight Lounge, nice, relaxing, maybe even romantic evening, who knows, in that 1950 style cocktail lounge. Both places awesome. And they're in one building right there on Pearl Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin, in that 1860s brick hotel. Beautiful old building. Love that place. But Buzzard Billy's downstairs, Starlight Lounge upstairs. Stop in and check it out. Tell them we said hello. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Teddy listening to us in Brookfield. Teddy, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Bill, hey.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of pain, Bill.
Why is that?
And I don't really understand the accolades that are being thrown about Jordan Love. It doesn't make any sense to me. And, you know, the thing of it is, as good as he looked in the Dallas.
Oh, uh-oh. Something happened.
I think we lost Teddy.
Must have hit a button or something. He said he didn't understand the accolades that are being thrown towards Jordan Love. Okay, let me go back on this. Because for those that listen to the program, know that I was heavily skeptical, might be the best way to put it. He was considered one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks in the NFL in the last 7 games of the season, 6-7 games of the season. He got steadily better. Now, is he the best? No. But what you saw out of him and what he did in the game against the Cowboys for his first playoff game, his first playoff appearance, yeah. You can say he deserves a lot of the accolades, but he hasn't won anything yet. I admit that. So if you take it as accolades for somebody who hasn't won anything, then you're probably, you're right. You're right. But he's won a playoff game. He's won as many playoff games in his career as Kirk Cousins has. He's won a couple less than Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott's getting upwards of, what's $59 million is what he's supposed to be paid this year. So you look at some of the big time names that haven't been able to win in the postseason. He's already won a game. Now I know it takes a whole team. I understand that, but just kind of giving you that, you know what I mean? But I think where he's getting accolades is the way he finished and the optimism for next year. That's fair. That's fair. But remember, 2 years in a row now, Justin Fields finished strong and made believers out of a lot of Chicago Bears fans. And then last year, I remember sitting at Soldier Field for the opener, and everybody around it said, yeah, he didn't have a good camp. He's not a really bright quarterback or anything like that. All of the things that were negative, and it all showed for a long period of time until they changed things up for him. But I can understand why Jordan Love is getting a lot of publicity right now.
Here's probably an important factor in the way that you view Jordan Love after this season. If you think that the season holistically, lots of ups and downs, lots of bad games, lots of good games, if you think that's who Jordan Love is, inconsistent, then yeah, you probably think he's getting overhyped. But if you believe, and I mostly believe this, that early stretch of the season was growing pains, super young wide receivers figuring it out, if you think that early part of the season was an outlier, and once they figured it out moving forward, that's Jordan Love now, well, then your opinion's going to be a lot higher. It's just kind of how you break down and view the good games and the bad games of this last season. That's probably the deciding factor.
Yeah, no, that's, I think a lot of people look at it that way. Like the beginning of the season started off on fire, beat the Bears, opened a lot of eyes. Then played okay. But it was as much coaching as it was some of the youth and the mistakes that Jordan Love made in the game against Atlanta. brought them back, showed a lot of moxie against the Saints, but you can't, people wanted to ignore the first three quarters. And then after that, everything went down. It was just this ebb and flow, and it looked bad and everything. And then you were losing to teams that you had no business losing to, and they did. And that's when everybody said, okay, I'm out. That's my opinion. And then very slowly, they started making believers out of a lot of people, including myself. And rightfully so. They played well. That offense ran like a well-oiled machine. And I still go back to that highlight reel that's over on YouTube that we watched when we were sitting in the house out in Vegas. We just had nothing to do, and we couldn't get any regular television, so we were just kind of flipping through YouTube, and we came across that. And Mike Clemens and I and Grant sat there, and we were BSing and talking, and we were watching that. And the one thing that had dawned on me, I watched it, I'm like, I started counting 1, 2. Before I got to 3, he was getting rid of the football, and all these different highlights. And then you realized he was just thrown to the open man. His head would go one way, it would go the other, and then he would throw to the open man. He was doing little things. We saw him kind of hopping at the top of his step. We saw him kind of throwing off of his back foot. We saw him like jumping into the air and throwing the football, doing things that technically you shouldn't be doing as a quarterback. But it was all within the confines of the offense. And you thought it wasn't just the fact that Jordan Love was his completion percentage was going up. It was that he was reading defenses, he was going to the open man, and he was running the offense and getting rid of the football quickly. All the things that we wanted to see Rodgers do for the last couple of years. So if he does that and then expounds upon it in 2024, you can only assume he's going to get better. But he hasn't proven it yet. 7 games does not a career make. So I agree with you that you don't understand why he's getting all the accolades. Well, because he impressed down the stretch when things look so bad. And it's not just us here in Wisconsin. I mean, nationally, he was getting a lot of press. You heard what Brian Billick said about him. You heard what Eric Eager said about him. You heard what Ross Tucker said about him. You heard what other former players said about him. Neil Smith, what he had to say about him. You heard other people go, yeah, this guy was impressive down the stretch. Now you got to see, and everybody prefaced it by saying, now you got to see what he does next season because there's an expectation there now. So let's see how he handles it. But I'm not also going to take away from him because he played really well, but he hasn't proven it yet. So I don't know. I'm not going to do that either. So we'll see. Kevin Holden, CBS 58, going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Don't go anywhere. Bottom of the next hour, we're going to talk a little motorcycle racing indoors. Mike Clemens, final hour of the program as well. We're going to recap Las Vegas with Mike. Got a lot going on. Stay tuned. More Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it's officially the All-Star break in the NBA. The Bucks limped into it last night with a 113-110 loss to Memphis. Milwaukee was a double-digit favorite in the game. Didn't play like it. Coach Doc Rivers lamented the effort from his guys.
We come back in this on our set. 2 guys forget what we're running. Then we miss the shot, and then nobody gets back. That's how we start out the third quarter. That tells you all you need to know about where our heads were. We had some guys here, and we had some guys in Cabo.
The Bucks now 3-7 since Rivers took over, sitting in third place in the Eastern Conference, 2.5 games back of second place Cleveland and 8.5 back of first place Boston. They will get the All-Star break to clear their heads. They return to action next Friday when they visit the Timberwolves. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to make their way to Iowa City today. It's where they're going to take on the Hawkeyes tomorrow afternoon. They should have freshman John Blackwell back. He missed the last 2 games with a lower body injury, but he practiced fully yesterday. Told reporters he will play. Wisconsin beat Iowa by double digits in Madison earlier this year. Tip tomorrow is slated for 1:15.
Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
If you're interested in a rewarding career with a strong Wisconsin company, Rural Mutual Insurance is looking to add to their growing team of successful employees and agents. Apply online today at ruralmutual.com/careers.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, spring training underway for the Brewers, though the first full-team workout isn't until next Tuesday. And it's a big weekend for the Wisconsin hockey programs. The 4th-ranked men's team is in Columbus to face Ohio State tonight, and tomorrow, number 2 women's team hosting number 5 Minnesota the next 2 nights in Madison. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. Coming up bottom of the hour, we're going to talk some indoor motorcycle racing. Looking forward to that as we start to creep ever so near to springtime for those of you that like to either get out on 2 wheels or just enjoy the sights of 2 wheels, or the sounds for that matter. But now what we want to do, we want to talk some Brewers baseball. Brewers pitchers and catchers have reported a lot of optimism about this team. Joining us now from CBS 58 in Milwaukee, our buddy Kevin Holden. Kevin, how you doing, pal?
Bill, it's all good. I love one of the things I love about February is you start spring training, and no matter how cold it is here, I at least get to see video of some guys throwing in short sleeves, and there's a palm tree here and there, so it's kind of like it's early spring,
Now, are you out there?
I'll be out. We'll go out Sunday, excuse me, and then we'll be there. It's a short trip for us this year, but we'll go out Sunday. Just enough time for me to get the arm warmed up, just in case.
There you go.
Lefty release.
Well, they may. Let's talk about that because you Corbin Burns is no more. Brandon Woodruff is no more. You've got a young group of pitchers led by Freddie Peralta, but a veteran in Wade Miley. I think the back end of their bullpen is going to be stable. But give me your thoughts on the pitching staff.
Yeah, this is that moment where the years of having any other mistakes covered over by the Brandon Woodruffs and Corbin Burnses of the world is going to be done. It was a golden era, to have that much good pitching, and then a guy like Freddie Peralta in the 3 spot was just, it was a dream. And for a team that has had trouble, putting together quality starting pitching traditionally through the years, so. Yeah, they're gonna have to find some stuff. That's why this spring is going to be a pretty important one, I think, because beyond Freddie in that number 1 spot, I don't know if we really know what 2, 3, 4, 5 look like. Colin Ray, Wade Miley obviously will have spots, and then you've got a bunch of other guys that'll be competing. If you get a young guy this spring that really flashes in spring training that shows that he's ready, he may get that opportunity sooner rather than later. So it's going to be a team that'll need to score a little bit more because that pitching staff is not going to be shut down the way it was, the last several years.
How do you like the defense? Because I'm excited because of the youth. I'm excited because if Christian Yelich doesn't have to play 120 games in the field, that would be even better. If he plays 60, that'd be fantastic. And then he's a DH. They bolstered the first base position. They're good in the battery up the gut. The only thing I think right now where you can kind of say there's a question mark is maybe over at third.
Yeah, third's an interesting spot because Andrew Monasterio is a fun player, and I think a guy that if he's a utility guy, he can help out a ton. He's got a good bat, steady guy. But I don't know about Monasterio as a starter, over at third base. Now, they made that trade with Baltimore. They traded Burns. They got Ortiz, who is, supposedly a terrific defender. And they may just force him in by putting him at third. That may be the way that breaks down, because that spot's open and he has a good glove. He'll just make the adjustment from shortstop to third. Obviously you got Turang and Adames up the middle. You've got the youth that you mentioned in the outfield, Mitchell and Churio if he comes north with the team, and Sal Frelick. And yeah, it's funny. We watched Arizona go through the season last year with the Corbin Carrolls of the world and make it to the World Series. And the Brewers, at least on offense, are built in a pretty similar way. That's kind of exciting because it's the trend of baseball, and the Brewers are good. They've got youth and they've got speed.
The rest of the division, we were talking about the Cardinals yesterday. They have got there's not one pitcher under the age of 32 in their starting rotation. So give me your thoughts on the Cardinals, because I think if the Reds get any pitching at all, they're going to be a viable team that's chasing the top spot. The Cubs are kind of an iffy team. I'm not quite sure where to put them. And then you got the Pirates, who just kind of toil away in anonymity.
Yeah, I got to say that the biggest surprise for me this entire offseason was the Brewers signing Craig Counsell, pulling Craig Counsell away, the Cubs pulling Craig Counsell away, and not giving him major pieces. I thought the day they got Counsell, I thought Shohei Ohtani was going to be a Cub. I thought this was the 1-2 punch. They would get, maybe the best manager in the game and maybe the best player in the game. And it didn't happen. So that was a surprise. The Cubs are such an in-between team for me right now. The Cardinals have basically are trying to fix pitching woes with veterans. There's an upside and a downside. The Brewers know it well from the era when they used to go get the Kyle Loesch's and Matt Garzas of the world, because if it works out, then you get a guy like a Greinke or a Sean Markham who's front of the rotation. And if it doesn't work out, then you get jokes about Jeff Suppan for 15 years. So so the Cardinals could be anything from soup to nuts. I think they'll be dangerous. They've got the guys that they've got will make a good pitching staff, but man, the drop off is quick. And if that doesn't happen for them, they could be in trouble for a little while.
What do you like about this team? If you had to say, here's some of the strengths of this Brewers team that, I mean, they lost their manager, they lost Corbin Burns, and you had mentioned, Woodruff, who had been hurt a good portion of the season last year, but you still had that stability. What are things about this team that you like?
I'm a huge fan of just what's coming soon and has started to arrive in Milwaukee reminds me a lot of what went on in 2005, 6, 7. Back then it was Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder and Corey Hart and Ricky Weeks, and they were the offensive core of what this team was for years to come. This group is Churio, who they believe in enough to basically make him their big free agent signing of the offseason, and he's not even 20. Churio, Mitchell, Sal Frelick, Bryce Terang, like there's a young offensive core that's not only developing quickly, but they're going to be around a long time. That's where the very bright future of this team is just those young guys that'll be around. Obviously if you get some of those young guys to do something in the pitching staff as well, that would be tremendous. That's what the Brewers didn't have that last time around. A guy like a Jacob Mizorowski, who we were watching, Todd Rosiak had video of him yesterday, and he was throwing. He can go triple digits, and I'm telling you, this team, if Mizorowski shows polish around it, that he could find himself into that rotation pretty fast. So yeah, youth and future are the way that I look at this team in a positive way right now.
So I hear what you're saying, because I'm excited about it. I don't want to see them deal away a Sal Frelick or a Garrett Mitchell or, obviously Churio, they're not going to. But I do want to say that if there's a weakness on this team, don't we look at it and say probably their starting rotation is their weakest link at this point?
Yeah, there's no question in my mind that it's Freddie Peralta and then some question marks beyond. And I'm not sure that's a question that gets answered in February or March. I mean, the hope is that you find what you believe are the 5 best guys or the 5 most appropriate guys to start the season in that rotation. But as you know, 162 game season and, the way that arms are treated these days, 5 isn't going to do it. It's going to be 7 or 11 or whatever the number is going to be. You're going to have to fill in spots in the rotation. So that's the biggest question mark by a long shot. Freddie, as long as Freddie's healthy, I think he's a very capable ace. But then beyond it, you got to find a capable 2 and 3, and even if you just have to cobble together something for 4 and 5. I mean, it's there's a lot of games pitched in a season, and unfortunately for the Brewers, not a lot of guys to throw those games right now.
So with the addition of a new manager, Pat Murphy, who is obviously a familiar face, Craig Counsell leaving, what kind of an impact do you think Murphy does or doesn't have? And I'm not necessarily even talking about wins and losses, because we know that it's all about keeping kind of a clubhouse together and not allowing it to divide itself into cliques, if you will.
Right. And Murphy will do a good job with that. And the other thing that I think he'll do very well is Murphy relates very well to young ball players. He has 1,000 wins as a college manager. In fact, his biggest friendship that came out of his college days was Craig Counsell. Mm-hmm. And Counsell thought enough of him to bring him onto the staff years ago, and he's still here today. Murphy's going to be a lot of fun. He's really quick with the responses, which is going to be great for us, and I imagine for the team as well, because they were asking him about Mizorowski throwing 103 yesterday, and he said, "What is that? His weight? Like, come on." So that's your Pat Murphy quote. Like, that's, you're going to hear a lot of it. Murphy's going to be an engaging guy, and because he's had so much success at the college level, all those young guys, that young core, I think, are going to benefit from him. I think that's really the group that benefits the best is, that same group of young guys, the Mitchells and Frelichs and Churios that I talked about. I think they'll really, really like Murphy.
I like what they've done in keeping the pieces for the infield, and they'll figure out third base. But all the talk was about whether or not they were going to trade away Willy Adames. Do you look at Adames last year? He had the power numbers, but his offensive output just was down just because. And then he took it out into the field. He had some miscues, some errors. I kind of equated to going back to when Corey Koski was here. He had one good season, and then his offense went to crap, and he couldn't field worth a damn, and it affected him. Same thing with Colton Wong. Do you just look at last year as kind of an apparition for Willy Adames?
Yeah, it's a really good analogy, because for some players, if they can't get it done at the plate and it starts to get in their head, they do take that out with them into the field, and it did and has messed up some careers before. I don't think it's going to mess up Adames's career. I think, as you say, more of an aberration, a little more of just a down blip for him. I still think Adames is so important to this team because of the energy that he brings, the fact that when he's right at the plate, he'll get you power. He will help you win games there. He'll help you defensively. I was thrilled because when the Burns trade happened, the first thing I said was, okay, get ready for the next one, because this is the start of this is going to be a trend. There will be other guys gone. And I figured that Devin Williams and Willy Adames would not be Brewers right now. It makes me really happy that they both are, because it shows that the Brewers aren't totally punting on right now. They're not just taking this thing for 2 or 3 years down the road. The fact that they have Adames and Devin Williams at the moment tells you they want to win right now. And if those young guys get good enough, they still can.
Why? Here's my question with Devin Williams. I mean, you saw what happened when you got rid of Josh Hader. Why would you then turn around and get rid of Devin Williams?
Yeah, that is look, the timing of the Corbin Burns trade is really curious, and I think it all ties back to Hader, because you get a front office together, and they're having to deal with a lot of different factors, dealing with the present, dealing with the future, capital that you can get back for players that will be gone. But I don't know if the front office really understood the impact of trading a veteran, a respected veteran like Josh Hader when they did, because the reaction to that team was significant. The emotion came out of that clubhouse. And I think they've had to try to take that into account. And they knew that Burns was going to have to be gone. But rather than do that during a season where you're popping a balloon in July or August, they had to do it when they did it in the offseason, even right after they signed Rhys Hoskins. So bringing that back to Devin Williams, I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened before, you start spring training. But I also agree that if you decide you're going to compete, if you really, if the whole thing about consistently competing is there, then it was a smart idea to hang on to Devin Williams. Unless you got blown away by an offer of prospects, that's a guy who's going to be terrific for you in the closer's role. He's a plus guy, and he's essential if you're going to be a competitive team.
What on this team right now concerns you the most? If we're going to say this is going to be the downfall of the Brewers this season, is it just strictly we look at the starting pitching and going, well, can they hold up, or is there another? Because I think that's the only question mark. I think you've got good up and coming talent and hustle in the outfield. If you can get Bryce Terang's bat to give you anything, that's going to be a plus. If you can get Joey Weimer to add you depth and his bat to be anything, that'll be a plus. I think you're solid over at first base. You've got a DH in Christian Yelich. I think everything's kind of ripe to be a good, young, up-and-coming team that can get you a lot of wins. The only question to me is whether or not this rotation gets you the wins and get you into the sixth inning. And tell me this, if you get right now on the back end of this thing, if you get three pitchers, Payamps being your eighth inning guy, obviously Devin Williams, if you get that other guy, and they had a young arm come up last year and everybody was excited about it. And now whether or not you can keep it at, like you said, Mizorowski can even throw over, 100 miles an hour. But last year you had some guys in the back end of that pen that really started to kind of show their wares as well. And if the Brewers are able to get anything out of a guy like Uribe, does that then, can we look at them as like a very young version of the Nasty Boys going back to 1990?
Yeah, what it reminds me of really is 2018. If you're going to go with that three-headed monster in the bullpen, I did love the Nasty Boys. They were great.
Right.
The 2018 version was Jeremy Jefferson, Corey Knebel, and Josh Hader, and they were so important to that team that Craig Counsell was changing everything about how he handled the starting rotation.
Yeah.
He had a guy go out and take one hitter in a playoff game because he could throw his bullpen for as much as he wanted, and he knew they'd be effective. And that combination, Payamps and Uribe and then Devin Williams, I mean, they've got a chance. They really do. They've got a chance to be that. I mean, Payamps is probably the one that would have to jump, maybe take another jump forward to get there. But three good relievers is that's a formula to get you out of a lot of jams in baseball.
I agree. Hey, real quick before I let you go, and predictions way too early to be right and obviously to go wrong. Give me the way you see this division falling out.
I think the Brewers hit enough and do enough good things that they're going to be an above 500 team. I'm a little concerned about the winning the division. I'm not sure that's going to happen at this point, but I mean, it still could. Cincinnati does scare me right now. I think Cincinnati and St. Louis are up there at the top, and the Brewers are about a half notch behind them. The Cubs, I think this first year might just be kind of a throwaway. I could see them as a 500 or just below 500 team.
Yeah.
And the Pirates, we're going to put a soccer relegation system, and the Pirates will be in AAA in 2025.
Kevin, great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon, and we'll look for your stuff coming from Maryvale. Okay.
Can't wait, Bill. Thanks as always, man.
Appreciate it. There you go. That's Kevin Holden, CBS 58, joining us on the hotline for a couple of minutes. You can find him over on X at 321QKevin. That's 321QKevin. And he is also doing the Telemundo broadcast for the Milwaukee Brewers again this year. Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break, come back. We got a lot more to get to this portion of the program, brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire and Service Center. They're on Boulder Road in Watertown, Wisconsin, also right above 94 at the Johnson Creek exit in Johnson Creek. And both places, whether it's getting an oil change, getting new tires, or getting from a minivan all the way up to a big rig worked on, they've got the facilities to do it. And they want to say thank you for voting them the best tire dealer out there. That is J&L Tire and Service Center in Watertown and in Johnson Creek. Go to jnltire.com. That's jnltire.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the program on a Friday. Oh, my God. A good Friday edition. Love it. Love it. A little bit of sun outside. It was supposed to be an overcast day. It's a little bit nicer out. You know what's really nice is the snow that fell yesterday. 99% of it is gone. And I'm looking out the window and I can see the tiki bar. I can see, you know, some of the colors and everything's kind of, you know, falling off of the back patio and all the patio furniture. And I'm starting to dream of warmer weather. I know it's going to be cold this weekend, but it's going to get back into the 40s and 50s. This is a bizarre off season for us. It just is. It is an extremely warm El Nino type of year. And I got to tell you, I'm enjoying the hell out of it, for lack of a better term. I just am. We're going to talk some flat track motorcycle racing coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Also, we're going to talk a little bit more about what Mama Tried and the Bike Builder event is. We're going to get into that coming up here in about 10, 15 minutes from now, so don't go anywhere. Hey, another great event in Milwaukee, the Irish Cultural Heritage Center, which oddly enough is only a block away from the Rave Eagles Club, the Eagles Ballroom, right there on West Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee. But coming up, now they have a lot of great acts, okay? They just do. They've got a lot of great music. The Irish Cultural Heritage Center has been around a long time, since 1992, over 30 years. They've been trying to keep this thing together. It's a nonprofit, so it's not like they're out there making a ton of money. However, coming up the night before, March 16th, Saturday night, we're going to go see Cynthian. And that is going to be a party. As a matter of fact, I had taken some from last year. I had taken some video. I'm going to repost that at some point on all the social media platforms, and hopefully you get a chance to come see them with us. We're going to, we alone, just with friends, we've got a group of like 10 to 20 that are going to go. And we're going to, I don't know if we're going to buy a table, a VIP table or whatever, but we're getting tickets for this thing. And it's going to be a blast. We're going to have a lot of fun, and hopefully you can as well. The Irish Cultural Heritage Center, Cynthian is coming to town on Saturday night, March 16th. Go to ICHC.net. That is ICHC.net. And it should be a lot of fun. And if you're looking for a concert, great. If you're looking maybe for a place to have a wedding, you can rent it out. Meeting space, same thing. They've even got two, not one, but two pubs inside this place. So, you know, there's nothing better than a good wedding and a lot of beverages after the fact, or a good meeting and a lot of beverages after the fact. So anyway, go to ICHC.net, ICHC.net, or call our buddy Corey, 414-345-8800, 414-345-8800, 414-345-8800. Rick said, did the ICHC recover their money? They got a good majority of it back. But the bank that they bank with wanted to pass it off on everybody else and fought them tooth and nail for every penny. So they got not all of it, but they got at least they can operate now, which is good. And you know what? To a lot of you that listen to the program that knew what happened and you made donations, and you can go to ICHC.net and donate. You made a lot of donations that kept them afloat. And for those that didn't know, going back to Thanksgiving Day, hackers broke into their account online via their bank and stole not like took some, stole all of their money, their operating funds to the tunes of tens of thousands of dollars. And it's a charity, for God's sakes. So anyway, you can check in with them. By the way, Mark says it is 15 degrees in Eau Claire. I did see that. The further northwest you go, the worse it is. You go up like Superior, Duluth. I think it was 3 degrees this morning. Down here, I think today is like the high of 34, 33, something like that. And it's cold tomorrow too and windy. And then it starts warming back up Sunday, Monday. We're talking 50s here next week. So I'll take it in a heartbeat. This was from Jack. Jack says, do you think that the Brewers have overestimated some of the young talent on this team? They're going to all have to perform at the same time for this team to get back into the postseason. I don't think so. I mean, you tell me what you saw last year with a guy like Sal Frelick when he came up, what you saw last year with Garrett Mitchell when he came up, even though he went down with a shoulder issue. Churio is obviously a guy that they believe in. Uribe came up, and that guy's got some serious heat. If he can develop just a really good off-speed pitch, a changeup via like Devin Williams did, holy mackerel. I mean, that when you go from 10 to 12 miles per hour difference, that's a huge difference. And for what he throws, if he can throw a low 90s changeup, high 80s changeup, and with that 102 mile an hour fastball with all kinds of hop on it, whoa, that becomes deadly. The difference is, like Kevin Holden said, is we're all looking at the starting rotation. You know, you got to get consistency out of Freddie Peralta. You got to get consistency out of Wade Miley. You know, who knows who's going to be able to fill in the rest of that lineup and whether or not it's going to be quality or not. All you're looking for is decent quality starts. That's it. Even if you get through 5 innings, at least you believe that your bullpen has enough in it consistently to be able to shine. So I think that's what you're looking for out of the Brewers, to be perfectly honest with you. One more real quick, and Anthony says, I still believe in Pat Murphy over Craig Counsell. Craig Counsell made a lot of bad moves, especially in the postseason, tried to outthink himself, and that's what ultimately cost him. If Pat Murphy just goes with the talent that he has, the Brewers will ultimately have even more success. Yes and no. Look, it's kind of like Shanahan, you know, where the guy's a hell of a coach. They said the other day he hasn't won a big game, but he's won big games to put him in a Super Bowl. So, you know, that's the argument here is, well, you know, Matt LaFleur hasn't won a big game. He hasn't won an NFC championship game. Okay, so if he wins that and loses the Super Bowl, has he still won a big game? Of course he has. Craig Counsell's won series in the postseason as the Brewers manager. He's won big games. It is what it is. You know, I'm not getting mad at Craig. Craig did a hell of a job. He's the winningest manager in Brewers history. You know, I mean, that's saying something, because when you look at a guy like Scrap Iron, who was here for so long, he won because of longevity. You know, what Craig Counsell did was consistently put this team in the postseason. And it wasn't always with the best talent either. It was the utilization of the statistics, the sabermetrics, and just kind of gut and know-how. But also he kept clubhouses together. So, no, I'm not jumping on that, you know, faulting Craig Counsell in some way, shape, or form. Or Pat Murphy's got a better handle on things. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But that was a good point that Kevin Holden had, was that Pat Murphy was an incredibly winning manager with college guys. You talk about youth and relating to youth. So the fact that he was able to do that and win at the collegiate level and then come in and be a bench coach in the majors and still have the same respect, I'm optimistic. I really am. I'm excited about the Brewers to get underway. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we are going to talk some flat track motorcycle racing. I'm looking forward to it. If by chance yesterday you had a fender bender in that little bit of mashed potato stuff, that snow that came down, if you're in the Milwaukee area, the surrounding counties, One Collision County Line in Menominee Falls, call them 262-251-1700. They're the ones that when I had a fender bender in the rear quarter of my car, man, they fixed the whole thing up and it looks like brand new. Every time I get it washed, I just sit there and kind of one of those car guys. I lean back and admire my car, and they did a fantastic job. They can do the same for you. And the best part about it is they text you and it's on your phone every step of the way. That's One Collision County Line in Menominee Falls. Again, call them 262-251-1700, 262-251-1700. Flat track racing. We'll discuss next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Hey, Wayne, shopping for a new door?
I sure am.
This fiberglass door is really strong. We love ours. Do you need something more dependable?
Yes, something that's durable, dent resistant, knows how to take a hit, and is going to last for years.
We're still talking about the door, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Of course.
Wayne Larrabee and Jeff Levering shopping together at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin? What could happen next? How about 0% interest for up to 3 years? Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months? I'm Gina Della from Pella. This incredible offer from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin is only available until February 29th. So hurry. We offer a wide range of window and door styles to perfectly match your home's unique design. Start customizing today with 0% interest for up to 3 years. Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months. Only at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restricted supplies. Show for details on lines 2/29/24.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on, rocking on this Friday. Got Mike Clemens coming up here in about a half an hour from now. Stay tuned for that. He'll talk with us about what he did after we left out in Vegas. Mike was at a show to see Rich Little. He was at the, what do I call it? The neon sign graveyard. So we got all that kind of stuff going on. But joining us here in studio, always a pleasure to get anybody in studio for that matter, is our buddy Jeremy Prock, who is here, part of the Flat Out Friday and Mama Tried group and everything. How you doing, man? It's good to see you.
Well, it's great to be here. You have no idea, Bill Michaels, how exciting it is to see you.
Why's that?
I think you're...
Because I'm wearing shorts, by the way. Because I'm wearing shorts?
Yeah, well, I have seen better legs on a pool table, but those are good-looking legs. You mean a lot. You mean a lot. I think how you run your industry is innovative.
Yeah.
In this world of podcasting, where everybody can podcast, but somehow you've managed to come from the old school and turn it into a new school, and then you're leading the pack.
Yeah, we're trying to do something anyway.
Yeah.
You know, we got a lot of people that are following and trying to do what we do. It was fun when I had a chance to join you guys on your podcast, which was awesome.
We do have a podcast, and I listen to you. I listen to you more than you know. I'm not trying to be like weird, like a weird fan, but there's so many things that you do well that I don't, which is articulating names. You're so good and quick at memorizing names and memorizing sets. How I just listened to you rattle off the Brewers roster.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Well, it's kind of like osmosis, though. I can't build a motorcycle the way you guys do.
Oh, well, okay. I appreciate that.
Once you do it 5 or 6 or 20 times and you all of a sudden know about fuel injectors and carburetors and gears and clutches and, you get it.
Yeah.
But to me, I'd look at it and go, you know what? I need help.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, everybody has a skill set.
Right.
But your original question was, how am I doing? And I'm doing really well. It's a Friday. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, good. Next week is your week, man.
It is a week. It's a big week.
You guys started in correct me if I'm wrong, was it the Bradley Center you started in or the UW Panther Arena?
Well, so let me be clear. There's two main events going on. Flat Out Friday. That's me and my partners, and then Mama Tried Show. That's Scott and Warren themselves.
Okay.
So there's two separate
Scott and
events.
Warren. It's you, Scott and Warren.
That's
you guys kind of put all this stuff together.
Yep.
But it's for those that don't know. Okay, let's explain what Friday is, and then we'll go to what Saturday is, because Friday is called Flat Out Friday. So let's start there, because it is motorcycle racing. It's fun. It gets you back into the spirit of things. But I've also seen a Porta-John have a crash on a track.
Yes. Well, you know what? Let me zoom way out, because I'm going to guess that your listeners, they were just listening to the Brewers spring training, and then bam, they're hit with this, and they might not. Let me get it up to speed if I can.
Okay, go ahead.
So Scott and Warren did start a motorcycle show. So they bring in 100 motorcycles from around the world. And to answer your question, where was it at first? Now that one was at the building. It was a restored building next to the Iron Horse Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And they were expecting a couple hundred people, but yet a couple thousand people showed up.
Right.
And people said this should be an annual event where we bring in motorcycles from around the world and we treat them like art. Well, Scott and Warren asked me to help like the next year. Can you run the door? And I remember saying, I'll help you with your little motorcycle show, whatever it is. Be there at 10. All right. I roll in around 10:30 and there's a line around the block. And I had never seen anything like that, the young, youthful, new spirit of motorcycling. And it had been older for me, maybe more dealer centered, but this was unique. It was empowering, if you will, of seeing these young people in this youth movement. So I'd asked them, could I do a motorcycle race the Friday before?
Right.
And so that's why Flat Out Friday, that's where the narrative came from, or the title of the language came from. But I forget your original question.
The original question was, now I want to know, because Flat Out Friday is so unique. When I tell people they're racing motorcycles inside the Fiserv Forum, it's different categories, it's different ages. We see little kids doing it. It's amazing. But you guys set up, you remove everything. The basketball court's gone. There's no hockey rink. There's no nothing. It's just the concrete. And then you guys treat this track that you make with what? Dr. Pepper?
That's right. Yes. Okay. Yes. So there's a lot to unpack there. So I really love flat track. I got into this sport about 15 years ago as a father. I tried my son Loyal, who I would put into karate and hockey, and nothing really stuck like motorcycling. Mm-hmm. Once I got into that community, I see how empowering it can be and how diverse it can be with the ages,
right,
in women and things like that. So I try to capture that in this show. But you talk about the concrete. When I originally had this plan, I would love to have brought in dirt. In fact, I remember the Badger Midgets. Do you remember? They used to do a big show at the Mecca,
right?
And I saw that when I was a kid, and I thought, I'm going to try to do that. But it's so expensive to bring dirt in the wintertime.
And clean it up.
Yeah, and clean it up. I mean, you're talking probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably $200,000 to bring in that dirt. So I did some research, and you can spray some Coke syrup. The monster trucks do this to protect the floor from making the skid marks.
Right.
It creates like an acidic, and it just like eats the rubber a little bit, just enough to make it, just so it's soft. And so it's a misnomer that we're racing on Coke syrup, because actually by the time the crowd gets there, you're actually racing on a layer of rubber.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yep. And it also adds a little bit of stick and traction and all that kind of stuff, so you don't see people sliding all over.
You will. If you don't have proper body position, you will slip all over. And that's what I think what makes it exciting.
So it's they're going around as fast as they can, and it's everything from what's the longest heat? 25 laps, something like that?
Well, so the crowd won't see heat races. Now we have 350 riders we have to sort through. We got to separate the wheat from the shaft before you even get there. So you will see some last chance qualifiers and then main events. So the longest race, it's 35 laps in honor of a woman who had died in a race. Her name was Charlotte Keynes. Her race number was 35.
Okay.
So we do a 35 lap race for her. That sounds crazy, 35 laps, but it's 6-second laps.
Right.
So we're looking at about a 4-minute race,
right,
even at its longest. So the show is action packed. You're looking at 3-minute races on average coming through next class, and I try to keep it diverse.
Right.
You mentioned the porta potties.
The porta potties,
there are some
bikes, all that stuff.
There are some things out there that we call that the goofball class.
Yeah.
It's our closer. I try to get people to do ridiculous things.
Because a couple of years ago, a guy won it on a jet ski over a motorcycle who was dressed like Hulk Hogan.
That is true, and I don't even want to explain that. I don't even want to explain it. You let that just sit.
So you guys do the races. The races are fun, and the whole bottom bowl of the Fiserv Forum is packed with people. It's a great time, fun event. So it's people that do it all over. There's people that do it as a hobby. Then there's the kids, which is always amazing to me because little kids do this. Mm-hmm. What's the youngest age of kids that do this?
Well, according to the American Motorcycle Association, I believe you can be 4 to 6. So our lowest class is 4 to 6 year olds.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's so cool.
Yeah. And helmets and, a tape on their shoe. They're turning, great body position. 4-year-old, they have the skill and talent as many of the older ones.
Yeah. It's amazing to watch. It's so much fun to see the little kids do it. So
yes.
Then you get you go to Flat Out Friday, you enjoy yourself, have a couple of beverages, watch the racing, the whole thing. It's a whole night of racing, and it's a lot of fun. You guys do a great job televising it inside the Fiserv Forum. You've got your own broadcasters, the whole thing. Then they get the Saturday night, and that's when the rave, the Eagles Ballroom, opens up, and like you said, it's 100 bikes around the world. To me, I go back to the old bike build-off days, but this is, like you said, this is like looking at motorcycles of art. in the artistic sense of the way they're built and put together, and the way, and they're still rideable, but there's such amazing sculptures of what people have done, and body, sweat, and tears, so much to be put into these things.
Yeah, I think you said that really well. I don't think I could say it any better. Other than, no, it's not Saturday night, it's Saturday morning. So doors open at 10. So all day long, you're getting to see these motorcycles, but not only now, I think similar to the bike build off is the builder is standing next to their motorcycle.
Right.
And so the stories, so many of these, if you just took the motorcycle itself, it might not be as impressive, but when you wrap in the story of the builder that built it, then you get an interesting product.
I'll say this. If you're a motorcycle enthusiast, the motorcycle itself is impressive. I've seen some really, really, really cool motorcycles, whether it's the stretches, right? Whether it's the stretches or some of the old easy rider style of bikes and the old school type of Harleys, and you carry, it's not just the Harley style of bike, it's the as they allude to, the crotch rocket things too. I mean, you guys have all kinds of stuff.
The metric crowd, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah, there's plenty of that there too. Yeah.
So we are going to be giving away a VIP package.
That's right. Yes.
So, which you just found out about.
Well, there's so many plates, and a lot of times when you get so stuck in what you're doing, and then you get this fresh perspective, and you're like, oh, I forgot about that. I'm sure that happens to you.
Yes. So what we're going to do is, starting on Monday, which is the reason I wanted to get you in here today, but starting on Monday, we are going to, there's going to be some placards that are going to go up on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And what you're going to do is you're just going to say, something to the effect of, I want to go, or VIP, but then you put in the hashtag Flat Out Friday and hashtag Bill Michaels Show. Those two hashtags will get you entered into our analytics, which the analytics will then pick one winner out of all four of those platforms. And somebody will be notified on Wednesday. We'll probably read it off during the show at the last hour, and then we'll let you know who is the winner. And they get a chance to come on Friday night and hang out in the middle of the infield and see all the behind-the-scenes stuff with Kristen and I. Just seeing Kristen alone is pretty much worth the price of admission. And then they get to hang with you guys and such on Saturday morning and come and check out the artisticness of the bike, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do a Bill Michaels only VIP. I can make that happen.
Can you make that happen?
Let's do this. I'm making this up, by the way. I'm making this up because listening to how you did this is really good. If we're going to do just straight hashtags, let's do 2 pit passes. So you get to come into the pits. You can give a tour. Let's give them front row seats.
Okay.
I think there's a couple left. I'll save them.
Okay.
And let's get them tickets to Mama Tried in the VIP there.
In the VIP. In the VIP lounge at Mama Tried, it's cool. You get the snacks, you get the drinks, you get kind of a place to go take a load off, sit on the couches, whatever.
Yeah. And all of the builders get that same VIP pass.
Yes.
So you're in this backstage area.
And you're hanging with all the bike builders. So that's kind of a cool thing. So how did, and I get this all the time, how in the world did the name Mama Tried come about? Because we always get that, and every year you tell me, and every year I forget.
Well, I think now Scott and Warren. I was not there, but Scott and Warren were there, and this is how I would think it would go. There's kind of a nomenclature in the bike show industry: cheap thrills, born free, I'm drawing a blank at the other ones, but there's that kind of 2-name, almost rock and roll band style. So Mama Tried was fit that formula, and I think it's stuck. It's stuck to kind of this rock and roll. What's his name? Who wrote that song? He was an outlaw, right? He was an outlaw just in general. Who wrote that song? Waylon Jennings. Yes.
Yeah.
And his whole outlaw feel, and so I think that's kind of what Scott and Warren were going for. This outside of the box motorcycling.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have done this track racing and such. You do it in Sturgis. We see you guys out at the Full Throttle Saloon. You guys have now it's become popular internationally. You guys did it in Brazil.
Yeah, for sure. Well, no, we didn't invent flat track by any stretch.
No,
I just think that we're making it a little more friendly to beginners and friendly to women and it's empowering. So we did do an event. We did one in Jakarta, Malaysia, Bali is on the next. Bali's next, we hope. And we're doing one in Portland too. But why this travels, if you will, is again because we have a diverse show with diverse participants, and it's empowering. That's how I think the Brazilians saw it.
Yeah.
Wow, I can get involved. And even this whole movement of these hooligans, they're racing. Our premier class is the hooligan class. Do you know what this is?
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah. So that's those are sportsters, generally sportsters or American twins, and they strip them down and they create flat track bikes out of them.
Yeah.
And why that's empowering is it's really pretty easy to get your hand on a Sportster.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I love it. And it always, when the Masters gets here, spring is around the corner. You start to feel warm. But when you're longing and jonesing for a motorcycle, anything you can hear rev up and roar, and you're sitting here in the doldrums of winter in the state of Wisconsin, when that comes up, you can't wait to throw the Harley gear on or whatever. It's sponsored by Harley Davidson. We got to give a shout out to Harley Davidson.
For sure.
But you can't wait to get the Harley gear on. And as a rider, you're just like, oh, God, I can't wait for that. I can't wait.
Your ears will be ringing, and you're going to go home smelling like exhaust.
Yeah, you'll smell a little bit like exhaust. You'll ring a little bit, and your pants are fit a little tighter because you can see the motorcycles floating around. You're not on one yet, but you're getting close. That's the way it is. It's great to talk to you, man. Tell Scott and Warren we said hi. We'll see them in a week. Obviously, when you guys are all down there at the Fiserv Forum, we'll do the hashtags. We'll get people all registered up. We'll bring a couple of lucky winners with us, and we'll have one hell of a time.
All right, I really appreciate it.
We'll party the way motorcyclists should.
Yeah.
As we all drive down in our cars.
All right, thank you.
Jeremy Prock joining us here in studio. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, don't forget, coming up here in just a short bit, we have got our guy, Mike Clemens. He is going to be talking with us, and Mike will tell us what he has going on out in Vegas after the fact, and then we'll kind of wrap up Super Bowl and start to look forward to what is next. Next on the docket is the NFL Combine. Stay right where you're at. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back. It's a Friday. I'm loving it. Loving life. We got to talk motorcycling. I mean, Short of throwing in some bass fishing at this point. Maybe talking about water parks out in the Dells or something. I mean, at least I feel a little bit warmer. You know what I mean? We've talked baseball, motorcycles. We could talk bass fishing. I don't know. Talk about bocce ball. Something. Thinking about the outside. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at The Nice Ash. And if you like a good cigar or such every now and then, maybe you do that outside. But there's a place you can do it inside, and that is here in the state of Wisconsin, right in my own backyard, which is Waukesha, Wisconsin, 323 West Main Street. And whether it's good cigars, they have hookahs, different flavors. But last night, tonight, tomorrow, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they have music. They have live entertainment. Great local artists as well. Some singles, some big bands, whatever it happens to be. And they have a bourbon and whiskey club as well that you can jump into, but they have and support a lot of great local breweries and local tap beers. So they have that stuff as well. And my friends from Point Brewing, they got quite a few. They got the Point Loggers, the Snow Pilots in there. I know they have Cider Boys in there as well. So they got a lot of the local stuff in there also. So thanks to our friends at Nice Ash Cigar Bar, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha, for being a big part of the program. So, Grant, did you learn anything about motorcycle racing? That's what I want to know.
I think everything that was said in that interview, I learned. That was all new information. So that
really?
That was cool insight.
Now,
I don't know much about racing.
Now, are you around next weekend? If you and Rachel want to go with us and you want to go see it, I'll take you.
Oh, God, what am I doing next? Oh, I got to go. It's funny.
Here we go.
We've talked about Chicago.
Okay.
I'm going to Indiana next weekend.
What are you doing in Indiana?
I'm going to Michigan City because we're going to see some of our best friends used to live in La Crosse, and now they live just on the far side of Chicago.
Okay. Well, you're forgiven then. Because
what night's the race?
The race is Friday. Now, here's the thing. When you think about going downtown, it can also come with a night at Calderon Club. That's the best. So you do a little flat track racing. You're done. You're like, I worked up an appetite. Next thing you know, you're face first into that eggplant that they have down there. A little bit of spaghetti meatballs, or heading over to San Giorgio next door. Either way, it's awesome. That right there is an awesome night. And your pants fit tighter for a different reason at that point in time.
I am not a food snob. I'm not a foodie or a picky eater, but you're doing your best to ruin that, because between the Calderon Club and then Mike took us to that spot in Vegas, like I'm becoming a foodie, unintentionally.
We went to Piero's, which was a terrific Italian restaurant. But the other thing that I'm looking forward to is, again, as we head down to Chicago and over the House of Blues on Saturday. But when you and I and everybody, the staff, went to the House of Blues in the Foundation Room at top of the Mandalay Bay, oh, that was some good food. Oh my God, that was good food. And what was the cheese and the grilled cheese that we had? Do you remember? That wasn't like just regular grilled American cheese.
It was, well, I can't imagine it was a craft single. No. And if it was, they prepared it very well. It was, what I remember, it was burrito taco meat. So it was, like, it was as much of it was a grilled cheese in name only. There was a lot going on.
Yeah. It was like a giant grilled cheese taco. It was so good. So good. The day. But I'm going to be doing that cauliflower tempura coming up tomorrow night. I am going to starve myself like I'm going to the effing electric chair, and I'm going to go down on that stuff come tomorrow night. Just throwing it out there. We got Mike Clemens coming up in about 15 minutes. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk with him. We got another hour of the Bill Michaels Show yet to go. Stay tuned. We got more right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it's officially the All-Star break in the NBA. The Bucks limped into it last night with a 113-110 loss to Memphis. Milwaukee was a double-digit favorite in the game. Didn't play like it. Coach Doc Rivers lamented the effort from his guys.
We come back in this on our set. Two guys forget what we're running. Then we miss the shot, and then nobody gets back. That's how we start out the third quarter. That tells you all you need to know about where our heads were. We had some guys here, and we had some guys in Cabo.
The Bucks now 3-7 since Rivers took over, sitting in third place in the Eastern Conference, 2.5 games back of second place Cleveland, and 8.5 back of first place Boston. They'll get the All-Star break to clear their heads. They return to action next Friday when they visit the Timberwolves. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to make their way to Iowa City today. It's where they're going to take on the Hawkeyes tomorrow afternoon. They should have freshman John Blackwell back. He missed the last 2 games with a lower body injury, but he practiced fully yesterday. Told reporters he will play. Wisconsin beat Iowa by double digits in Madison earlier this year. Tip tomorrow is slated for 1:15.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
If you're interested in a rewarding career with a strong Wisconsin company, Rural Mutual Insurance is looking to add to their growing team of successful employees and agents. Apply online today at ruralmutual.com/careers.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, spring training underway for the Brewers, though the first full-team workout isn't until next Tuesday. And it's a big weekend for the Wisconsin hockey programs. The 4th-ranked men's team is in Columbus to face Ohio State tonight, and tomorrow, number 2 women's team hosting number 5 Minnesota the next 2 nights in Madison. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome back, Bill Michaels Show, hour number 4. Mike Clemens just around the corner. Bill just had to step away for a sec. Didn't say why, but is trusting me to not bring this all crashing down for a couple of minutes until he's back. Really good conversation so far today. Some really great guests. Kevin Holden is always a treat and very informational. A learning experience for me to learn about motorcycle racing and his band Mama Tried. And look, Bill's not here. I don't correct Bill on air. Not that Bill makes a lot of mistakes, but like it's easy for me to sit here for 4 hours, right, and listen. And like when he misspeaks or, names a player or something wrong, I don't correct Bill on air. It's bad form. I do have to correct. I was sitting back here in studio when he was talking with Jeremy, that last guest, and they're talking about the band Mama Tried and the origin of the name. And it was a Merle Haggard song. It wasn't it was not Waylon Jennings. I have to point that out. As someone that listens to a lot of really old country. I listen to country from basically every decade except like the last 6 years. And I'm not really in current country right now. That doesn't mean that it's bad. But really anything up until the last couple of years. I was listening to a lot of early 2000s Kenny Chesney the other day. Kenny Chesney was on Radio Row. I didn't recognize him. I walked by him and thought that guy kind of looked like Kenny Chesney. And then I come to learn that he was on with McAfee. Not that I would have had I would have had Kenny Chesney on, but it would have been cool to get a picture. One of the first artists I remember when I was very, very young was Kenny Chesney, his early stuff coming out. So I do have to I don't like to make corrections. Not that I know everything, because I absolutely don't, but I do have to point out it was not a Waylon Jennings song. It was a Merle Haggard song. Mike Clemens going to be here in about 10 minutes. Bill should be back at any point. We're going to talk to Mike about his Las Vegas experiences, of course, and the Super Bowl and the aftermath of the Super Bowl, because what we do the week after the big game and weeks after the big game sometimes is, what did we learn about this player? What did we learn about this coach? And every once in a while, you'll have a Super Bowl matchup between 2 quarterbacks or coaches. You'll have a Super Bowl it's got a lot of legacy on the line. And I felt like this Super Bowl, there was a lot of legacy on the line for both teams, right? Patrick Mahomes had a chance to win his 3rd, and I don't have the histories in front of me, Super Bowl quarterback, who's won how many Super Bowls. I don't know this information off the top of my head. I'm not a stat nerd. My brain doesn't retain information like that. But I would wager, without even having the numbers in front of me, that there is a pretty serious line of demarcation between 2 Super Bowls and 3. Just like it's a big line between 1 and 2, right? The line of demarcation between quarterbacks that have 1 Super Bowl and 2 Super Bowls, that's a big leap. And I would wager, again, don't have the numbers in front of me, but I bet the club gets a lot more exclusive when you go from 2 to 3. And that's what Mahomes was looking to do on Sunday night. His Super Bowl obviously did it. Also, a little bit of an opportunity cost, a missed opportunity for Kyle Shanahan, right? Because he had an opportunity to win his first Super Bowl and kind of right the wrongs of his first 2 Super Bowl experiences. One with the Falcons as the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, where they blew the 28-3 lead. And then a couple years ago against the Chiefs. I don't really fault Kyle Shanahan. Losing coach, you always find things here and there. Could have gone differently. Could have called this instead. Could have used this timeout differently. I think Kyle Shanahan's players, both a couple of years ago in 2021, 2022, and last Sunday against the Chiefs again, interestingly enough, for the second time. I think Kyle Shanahan's players had opportunities to go and win that game. Jimmy Garoppolo missed that throw to Emmanuel Sanders a couple Super Bowls ago. If he hits that throw, we're talking about Kyle Shanahan. He would have been playing for his second ring on Sunday. Instead, he misses that throw. Patrick Mahomes goes on to win. Now Mahomes made, an unbelievable throw to Tyreek Hill on 3rd and 15 and certainly did his part in winning the Super Bowl. I'm not saying the Niners blew it, but the players had opportunities to execute and win that game. And I think the same on Sunday night. But the legacy that was added to Patrick Mahomes' resume and the missed opportunity to add to Kyle Shanahan's legacy, this is an important Super Bowl in that regard. And I also know what comes next for the Niners. Debo is getting older. He's expensive. Kittle's getting older. He's expensive. Barely even did anything in that game. And I know he's a blocking tight end, and they do have a lot of mouths to feed on that offense between McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. Jawan Jennings is very good too. Debo didn't do anything. Kittle didn't do anything. I guess Jennings did most of it, but Ayuk didn't do anything. There is a sense that I don't know, maybe the ball could have gone to their playmakers more on Sunday night. Ayuk especially. I don't know that was the matchup for Debo. If you look at wide receiver profiles that succeeded against a really good Chiefs defense, really good corners, really good secondary. But I feel like maybe their offensive game plan could have been a little different, but they had a lead, right? That pass rush, Chase Young and Bosa and Kinlaw and Armstead, they had a chance to go after Mahomes and get him and close out that game, and they couldn't do it. I know Kyle Shanahan probably shouldn't have taken the ball to start overtime, but it's not like he completely took away a chance to win from his team. They still could have won, right? In overtime, and I've been saying this a lot on my show from 4 to 6, like the Niners still need to get 6 and prevent the Chiefs from getting 6. Whatever order it happened in, right? We can nitpick it, but it's not like the Niners didn't have a chance to win. Bill, I did have to point out while you were gone that I had to make a slight correction. That Mama Tried was a Merle Haggard song.
Merle Haggard, yeah. Song. When he said outlaw, I thought it was the outlaw Waylon Jennings. And yeah, it was Merle Haggard. You're correct.
And you let him go with it. You didn't make your guest look bad, which I respect and I appreciate.
Well, I don't think he knew off the top of his head because he didn't come up with the name of it. He's got 2 partners, Scott and Warren, and both guys are great guys. But those 2 are the guys that came up with the Mama Tried side of things. So I think because they're the ones that really kind of brought it up, so to speak, I don't think he might have been nervous too. Who knows? I don't know. But it was fun. It was good stuff. And he had some people downstairs that they wanted to say hello. So went down and kind of showed them around a little bit. And then you did a fine job for the 7 minutes that I was gone. So sometimes when it's just you and you're home alone, you don't have secretaries, you don't have people working the front desk, you don't have anything like that. So you just kind of you're like, okay, I'll show you out. Because the one good thing about what I do and where I'm at is like when we get guests, I have an automatic, like my garage door opener and the internal doors are all automatic. So I can just say, here you go, come up the stairs. And you can follow the sound of my voice when you get inside. And once you're in, let me know. And then I will go ahead and shut all the doors and lock everything back up because I can do that remotely now. But yeah, today it's like, can I see this? Can I see that? And so I said, we'll get Grant to take it for a couple minutes. So thank you, sir.
My goal is to just not bring the show crashing down. I think I accomplished that. So I'm happy.
Right. So you were talking about Super Bowl. And you were talking about the Kyle Shanahan thoughts as far as not taking the ball.
Well, really, what I was doing is I was trying to switch the topic to kind of set the stage for Mike Clemens, who's going to join us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mentioned Shanahan. Like he could have done a couple of things better, but I don't know. We always feel the need to scapegoat and blame somebody. And I watched that game. It's not like his players didn't have chances to go win and make plays.
Here's my question: does he deserve to be crucified the way he is? Because I don't think so. I mean, look, I disagree with the way he did overtime, but does he deserve to be crucified the way he's been? You know what I mean?
No. Nitpicked, yes. Crucified, no.
So, because nationally, they're killing him. And I'm thinking, and they're killing him because his players didn't know the overtime rules. And that looks bad, whatever. But my argument is, let's say they did. Let's say every player knew the overtime rules, 100% understood them. Would it matter if they took the ball first? If everything still played out the same, what would it have changed if everybody on that team and on that field knew what the overtime rules were?
Maybe their mindset is a little different, but also like it's overtime and you're in the Super Bowl and you're playing Patrick Mahomes. Are you telling me that your intensity wasn't quite up because you didn't understand the situation? Like, come on, man, it's over. You need to go score 6. And then the defense, you need to get a stop. That doesn't change just because the order of the possessions, or it shouldn't change.
Right. Exactly. And that's kind of my point is that if your head coach says we want the ball, unless of course you got a guy like Jair Alexander that runs out and tries to screw up your coin flip. But if by chance your coach says we want the ball, if you know the rules, do you play harder? No. You may know that even via the old overtime rules, you went down and scored, they get a chance to possess the ball. Now, you got to keep them out of the end zone. So it's not like you're going to play that much harder. You're not playing a full quarter. If they score a touchdown, it's over. So I don't know what they didn't know the rules. Well, Shanahan did, and that's all that matters. You may not agree with his logic, but he knew it, and that's all that matters. And that's my argument is, look, Shanahan's a good coach. And it took Andy Reid a while to beat down the door and finally walk through it. Maybe Shanahan against his opportunity next year, the year after, the year after that. But that's the one thing that I don't understand is I'm listening to the national people play over and over and over again, players in that locker room who said, I didn't really understand the full extent of the overtime rules. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know they had changed. But if your head coach does, I don't think it matters. Because it wouldn't have changed any circumstance. If you still take the ball first, it still plays out the exact same way. There is nothing that knowing the overtime rules, whether you did or you didn't, would have changed the outcome of that game. Unless, of course, he doesn't take the ball first, decides to give it away. So let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. Mike Clemens is going to join us. We're going to take Mike the rest of the way. Just kind of wax nostalgic about the week that was. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Hey, Wayne, shopping for a new door?
I sure am.
This fiberglass door is really strong. We love ours. Do you need something more dependable?
Yes, something that's durable, dent resistant, knows how to take a hit, and is going to last for years.
We're still talking about the door, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Of course.
Wayne Larrabee and Jeff Levering shopping together at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin? What could happen next? How about 0% interest for up to 3 years? Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months? I'm Gina Della from Pella. This incredible offer from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin is only available until February 29th. So hurry. We offer a wide range of window and door styles to perfectly match your home's unique design. Start customizing today with 0% interest for up to 3 years. Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months. Only at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details on last 2/29/24.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on his Friday. Getting ready for the weekend. Kind of a weird weekend without football, but you have the Daytona 500 coming up this weekend. You got golf in the Genesis this weekend. You got pitchers and catchers have reported. You're going to see some baseball action this weekend. You've got the NBA All-Star game this weekend. So a lot going on. Out there. Joining us now on the hotline is our guy, Mike Clemens. Michael, how you doing, buddy? Glad to know you made it back from Vegas, unless you're still there in jail.
No, came close. No, your trip back now, you had the flight delay in Dallas. Was that due to weather?
No, it was we flew to Dallas. We were a little bit late getting in and we thought, oh my God, we're not going to make our flight. We had a connector and we waited, I think it was like 45 or 50 minutes. There was a team from MSOE. I don't know what they were but it was a big group of people and their flight was late and we were their connector. So they held the flight to make sure that everybody could make it on. Cause it wasn't like you were missing 1 or 2 people. I think it was like 12 to 16 people that would have missed their flight. So it was a group from MSOE, which is fine. We waited for the college kids, and we had a great time, and it was a good flight coming home. But it was just we got back late. It was about 1:30 by the time I got home.
I sat on the tarmac at Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport watching them de-ice the plane twice, then go back to the gate to refuel. And, I haven't seen that very often. But, when you realize the pilot says, yeah, we're not sure that they got all the ice off the plane. And we just want to make sure.
Take your time.
That's a little bit more of an interesting takeoff.
Yeah, take your time. Yeah, no problem. Take your time. I'm good with that. Whatever you need. Hey, I got a scraper in my bag. I can help you. I'll get out, do the windshield, whatever you need.
I'll come out and help.
Right.
Whatever you need. And then, I'm sitting at the back of the plane and I'm taking a real close look at the flaps. Like, are those working? Yeah, okay. All righty. Just making sure. So listen, if you don't mind today, I really don't have anything about Packers. There's a lot of good stuff we got about Packers. Thank you to this show for having such a great setup and an established thing now at the Super Bowl where people come to you and ask you how to do it and where you can lure, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers over like Jordan Love and Donald Driver and all that stuff. That's really – it helps me to, gather information about the story. But I wanted to share with some folks, this is like stuff I didn't even have time to play during the week of the Super Bowl because there's so much going on every day. But I find this interesting football stuff that Matt LaFleur and his coaches, or Brian Gutekunst and his staff we're going to have to face. Like you talk to Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator, who, if Andy Reid had decided to step down this week, probably would be the new head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's the next head coach in waiting, if and when Andy ever decides to step down. But, you're in a circle of conversations at the Chiefs Hotel, and they're talking about their running back, Isaiah Pacheco. Now, this is a question mark that the Packers are going to face, and Gutekunst seemed to indicate that Aaron Jones is back because he had such a great last half of the season. But look at the Chiefs. Look at their offensive coordinator talk about how much difference this guy makes in their offense.
This is a guy that literally, you have to tell him in walkthroughs in the morning on a Wednesday and Thursday, slow the heck down. It is nonstop. He only has one speed, but the guys love him. He's so coachable. He's still young. It's his second year. He's young. The offensive linemen love him. He's so physical. He's still learning, and he's becoming a leader, which is not talked about enough probably. He's becoming a leader within this offense. So he's obviously a huge part of this offense, and we're going to need a lot of them.
Mike, it was interesting because you sat there and watched that game, and the Packers beat the Chiefs. The Packers were within a play or two of beating San Francisco, and you're thinking there, but for the grace of God. You know what I mean? It's like the margin of error in the NFL when you get to the postseason is so minute that it's one possession, it's one thing that changes the momentum of a game that can turn it in your direction, and that's it. And it was so weird to think that the Packers could have been there.
I'll give you a prime example. Take the 49ers. And, I have a lot of respect for Kyle Shanahan because I think that Matt LaFleur is a smart coach and capable of getting a team to the Super Bowl and winning one. And, everything that Matt has learned has come from this Shanahan family when those guys were all together with Washington and other, roots of that Mike Shanahan offense from the Broncos beat the Packers with 2 years in a row. So I'm interested to see, though, why Kyle can't get such a powerful roster to the next step. He failed 4 years ago. I think he kind of choked with Jimmy Garoppolo, and he thought he got away from that great running game that beat the Packers because he was afraid he couldn't keep up with Patrick Mahomes scoring-wise. And he almost did the same thing the other night, I think, when it got to that overtime. When he was asked after the game, well, first of all, I talked to Spagnuolo, about this game against the Packers. I talked to Spagnuolo against the Packers. And I asked him what impressed him most about that Packers. Was it Jordan Love? Was it the young receivers? When the Chiefs lost 27-19 to the Packers on December 3rd at Lambeau.
What impressed you most that night going against Love and those young receivers?
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, they did a nice job against us. They it felt like it all clicked for them that particular night. We couldn't find a way to kind of get him off to the point that I thought they did a great job. I thought Matt did a great job in that game. I told him that after the game too. That was really impressive, and we needed to find ways to get a little bit better after that game.
Mike, and you had mentioned that Shanahan in, the post-game presser, he talked about the overtime. And I had said before, if the guys don't know what the rules are, it's not going to change anything. I mean, it depends on when you take the ball. And Shanahan, I didn't agree with it, but he explained at least why they took the ball.
Right. And think about this, too. Look for turning points in Super Bowl 58. How about the one where it's like late third quarter, and the 49ers defense has stopped Mahomes and the Chiefs defense again. So the Chiefs have to punt. Ball comes down, hits some kid named Darrell Luter in the back of the leg.
Right.
Now you got a live ball. Chiefs recover, and they're ready. First play, set, plant, throw, Mahomes to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, touchdown. And they take the lead. Those kinds of things like you're talking about, that can change on a dime in a Super Bowl. So then after this loss, Kyle Shanahan was said, why did you take the ball to start to overtime in the postgame period?
It's just something we talked about with, that none of us have a ton of experience of it, but we went through all the analytics and talked to those guys, and we just thought it'd be better. We wanted the ball third. If both teams matched and scored, we wanted to be the ones who had the chance to go win, and we got that field goal, so we knew we had to hold them to at least to a field goal, and if we did, then we thought it was in our hands after that.
Mike, and again, I don't necessarily agree with it because it's basically giving Patrick Mahomes 4 downs when you just took the ball and you only had 3 and had to figure it out. So, if you got to score a touchdown, then you're not even thinking about kicking a field goal. You're going for it again, and that makes the decision easy. So I don't agree with him, but I understand where he's coming from in that.
So then you go to the team. This is the best part about Super Bowl, the access you get to all these players. They take them out of the locker room. They put them in these little mini press conference booths. And I've listened now to some of these interviews in their entirety. Some that I can't be at 20 different players at the same time. There's things that I can sort of get an earshot. I heard that Shanahan comment, and I thought, okay, that's a typical Shanahan kind of answer. Yeah, we wanted to know where we would be third. Really deep analysis kind of stuff. Kyle Juszczyk is the fullback. Now, he was saying things like, yeah, this is sad. This is really disappointing. We'd put in all that work. So, he's part of the team. And then he was talking about, though, we've got to go for it, man. We were that close. We got to be like the Chiefs. We're going to go for it. And that's what led to this question.
Super Bowls are won by taking it, and we've seen that team take it, and they did, and it's just something I wish we would have done better. You know what? I didn't even realize that the playoff rules were different in overtime. So I assumed you just want the ball because you score a touchdown and win. But I guess that's not the case. So I don't totally know the strategy there. Something you guys have talked about? No, we haven't talked about it. No.
Which is interesting because you go to the Chiefs side of things, Mike. And Andy Reid had everybody schooled on what they were going to do throughout the game and what they were going to do if there was overtime and how they were going to play it and the plays were going to call. They had already gone through that. So they were more prepared for the overtime in case it actually came about.
Yeah, Justin Reid was a guy that we talked about that I got to interview back at the team hotel and, post game. He's very articulate. He's going to be like the next Ryan Clark. I think he'll be a broadcaster. He says, oh, yeah. Andy brought that up last summer, and we talked about that for 2 weeks about some of the rule changes, including overtime. We went through those scenarios last summer. So now the reporter's onto it. Okay, now the Sharks are in the water, so they go up to Eric Armstead, defensive lineman for the 49ers, who, by the way, turns out he was playing on a torn meniscus. He had to have surgery now after the game, and so this is Armstead asked, were you surprised that your head coach, Kyle Shanahan, elected to receive instead of defer the defense in the overtime?
I didn't even know about the new playoff overtime rule, so it was a surprise to me. I didn't even really know what was going on in terms of that. They put it on the scoreboard, and everyone was like, oh, even if you score, they get a chance still. So
the coaching staff ever approach that at all this week? Let you guys know that if there is a time when it goes to OT, like these rules are different?
I wasn't aware of it. So.
He sounds like in some way, shape, or form he's a little upset. But my question, Mike, is were guys mad they didn't know that it wasn't explained to them?
You know what? It's because they were getting questions about it. They weren't prepared to answer the questions.
Yeah.
Right. And then there you've got a veteran defensive lineman saying, yeah, I first learned about it on the scoreboard.
Wow.
And listen to this. So the 49ers get back home. The dust settles. They clean out their lockers. And then John Lynch, the GM, who's, he's a Hall of Fame safety. I think he's done a pretty darn good job as a GM out there running that scouting department. And Kyle Shanahan, who said, I haven't even seen the tape yet. I can't deal with it. I went home last night and watched movies with my family. He also admitted, oh, by the way, he was also asked, hey, any coaching changes? Oh, no. And 3 hours later, he fires Steve Wilson, defensive coordinator. But anyway, here's these guys talking about that whole fiasco, about the overtime, and what went into the decision-making.
Some of the players after the game said they did not know the new rules for overtime. And Brock just said that he kind of went to Brian right at the start of overtime for kind of a refresher of, okay, these are the rules, right? Was it important, do you think, for the players to know the new rule as it pertains to overtime in the playoffs?
Well, yeah,
we did say, and we told everyone as we were waiting for the coin toss, hey, review everyone with to make sure they're sure before we go out. So we asked the position coach to do that, but I didn't cover it in a meeting on the Super Bowl week. I don't think that changes anything. We did it with our analytics department. We decided that going into the playoffs. I think you guys know how I've explained how I make decisions with that stuff in the past. I take all the information I can get, especially ones I haven't been in, and our analytics felt that was the best way to go. But as you guys know, I don't always just go with that. I take into account what they say, what they think is right, and then I go off my gut in the heat of battle. And I knew what they felt going into it. And when I think about that during the moments I have to make the decision, I think the type of game it did match what they felt was the best way to do. It did seem more like a field goal game.
Some other context, I believe we just closed, I think it was 11 play drive that we just closed the game with. And when you're playing Mahomes, you're chasing them a lot, so there's a lot of effort that's expended. I think, the context from there is you need some time to get fresh. And so all those things play into it. And those were sound decisions.
That was a decision that was made during the week, basically.
Yeah. Analytic decisions are made on a piece of paper, so you can read that and understand math and what they think about going off that. But that's why. But I always make it in a heated battle with that information. And if it was like the Super Bowl the year before, the one that seemed more like a shootout, I think I might have felt a little bit differently.
Interesting stuff. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We got Mike Clemens on the line with us, kind of wrapping things up for the week that was last week in the Super Bowl. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Kane & Kane Jewelers in West Bend. They want to rock your world. That is Kane & Kane Jewelers. If you didn't get something for that special somebody for Valentine's Day, there's still time. Head out there today, this weekend. Maybe you'll see them next week and go, surprise! So you didn't forget about them. You're good to go. Kane & Kane Jewelers. They want to rock your world in West Bend. Go to Kane, K-O-E-H-N. CaneJewelry.com. That is CaneJewelry.com. More with Mike Clemens coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Hey, Wayne, shopping for a new door?
I sure am.
This fiberglass door is really strong. We love ours. Do you need something more dependable?
Yes, something that's durable, dent resistant, knows how to take a hit, and is going to last for years.
We're still talking about the door, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Of course.
Wayne Larrabee and Jeff Levering shopping together at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin? What could happen next? How about 0% interest for up to 3 years? Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months? I'm Gina Della from Pella. This incredible offer from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin is only available until February 29th. So hurry. We offer a wide range of window and door styles to perfectly match your home's unique design. Start customizing today with 0% interest for up to 3 years. Or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for up to 18 months. Only at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details on last 2/29/24.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. They have got the Battle of the Bands, so to speak, getting ready to take place at the Four Seasons Island Resort, and that is up in Pembine, Wisconsin. And it's called Cabin Fever Music Fest. It's 4 bands called Rocker, Fire on High, Neon Detour, and Rapid Transit. It's going to be Friday night and Saturday night, March 8th and 9th. Now, if you're going to go and you want to go up, they have a total of 55 rooms in the place, but I think they only have about 30 left. But this is what you get. You get 2 nights of lodging, the tickets to see the bands, free tap beer, and probably perk your ears up right there. So you get music, you get the beverages, you get 2 nights lodging, the whole thing, and you get a discount too if you go and tell Barb you heard it right here. Call 715-938-5110. That's the Four Seasons Island Resort for the Cabin Fever Music Fest. And plus, you just get a chance to get away and go spend some weekend on the island, which is nice at the resort. Got the big, you don't have to go listen to music. You got the big pool, the hot tub, the sauna. You got the diamond room, the lounge upstairs. You got the bar downstairs, obviously. But they've got less than 30 rooms remaining. 2 nights lodging, all the bands, free beer, and you can give them a call. Call our girl Barb, 715-938-5110, 715-938-5110. Make sure you tell them here that you heard it here, and you get a discount. Not a bad way to go. That's the Four Seasons Island Resort, Pembine, Wisconsin. Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline. So, Mike, as we continue to wrap up, kind of what went on our Super Bowl week, it was kind of cool, though, when on opening night, you got a chance to I just said, hey, look at that guy right over there. That's Mark Davis, I believe, the only guy standing out on the field in a Raiders uniform, so to speak. He's got a Raiders hoodie on. And then you look and you're like, wait a minute. He doesn't have that straight out bowl cut anymore. I think he's growing some hair or something. But it was Mark Davis of the Raiders.
Well, see, and thanks to you, because I was on the opposite end of the field. There's all this activity with the press conferences going on. The TV cameras, the bands are blaring, the fans are in there cheering inside Allegiant Stadium. And I think I texted you like, hey, where are you guys at? Because you were shooting some video at the opposite end of the field. I'm down here in the end zone by Mark Davis, and I'm thinking, I want to talk to this guy. And people say, why would you want to talk to that? Actually, was a guy from CBS Radio who said, why would you talk to him? I go, are you kidding?
Right.
That's an NFL owner. Do you know how hard it is to get NFL owners to talk? And so, he comes walking in. And here's the thing about him. And I did a little bit of digging, on the plane ride home about it. So your dad is Al Davis, and a guy who played football, coached football, and starts, as part of starting up the team as a coach, and then a general manager, and then became an owner. And the Davis family, Mark only owns 47% of the team, but he's got the controlling interest that he inherited from his father.
Mm-hmm.
So you grew up in Al Davis's, house, just win, baby. And, you're short and you're not a football player, but you hang around the team. Mark Davis went on to do things like come up with all the marketing for that Raider cap. And you have to agree, besides Packers stuff, Raiders caps are everywhere, right?
Right.
So, and he's like our age or so. He's like in his mid-60s or so. He's, and at one point he started learning some of the business end of teams. And in the early 80s, when he was probably in his mid to late 20s, Cliff Branch, one of their star players, was having a contract negotiation, and that he ended up negotiating a deal with the team where he got Cliff annuity. So just like winning a lottery ticket, it's like, all right, we won't give you this all in a lump sum. We'll pay you for the rest of the life. And the Raiders had to pay him until he passed away, like in 2019.
Yeah.
That deal. By the way, that deal got him kicked out of his dad's house. Al Davis kicked Mark Davis out of the house because, you know what? You're getting too close to the players, okay? You're not representing the family or the ownership of the team, which is pretty interesting. So, Mark Davis is a guy who's like in the perimeter. He runs the business, and he's trying to figure out how to grow the business. They say he's worth about $1.9 billion. And now to me, I thought, well, don't take the Raiders out of Oakland. Think about the pit, and you think about all their fans that are down there. But some time that I spent when the Packers were in San Francisco, the crime in Oakland is just out of control.
Yeah.
It's out of control. You know how well run an In-N-Out burger place is, just like any Culver's in the state of Wisconsin? Okay, so they've got a wonderful run, great In-N-Out burger place that happens to be in Oakland, not far from the Coliseum, which was built in 1965, where the A's and the Raiders have been playing. They have to close it down. They're getting 1,500 police calls a year to that location for people getting their cars stolen, carjacked, the fights that break out. And the business can't do anything about it. It's a profitable place. They're busy all day long. They're closing it down because they're in fear of their staffs. That's how crazy things have gotten out of control in Oakland. And when you hear stories like that, you say, moving the team to Vegas here wasn't such a bad idea. Really? Right. In terms of, and that city, you and I talked about this while we were there, that 20 years ago, the only thing happening in that town for sports was UNLV basketball.
Right.
And Jerry Tarkanian there at, Piro's restaurant. And I talked to Mark Davis. I told that to Mark Davis, and he said, "Oh, Piro's, yeah, that was Jerry's place." He actually said that. So here's Mark Davis, and he's been working for 10 years to get the team into Vegas, to build that stadium, and then bring a Super Bowl to that town. And so you and I are down there at opening night with all those players and coaches and the fans and everything, and he comes walking in the end zone, looking around like the last man of the party, like, wow. And he was getting his first glimpse of opening night and Super Bowl 58 that he put together to host.
I hadn't soaked it in these last couple of weeks. I'm just soaking it in right now. This is really the first time the reality is really striking me, being in this stadium. And I've been here about 20 minutes or so, and it's just starting to strike me of how big this really is.
How often do you expect the NFL to come back here for the Super Bowl?
I say every year.
What will it take for the Raiders to come here one day and have a nice Super Bowl with the Raiders in it?
Well, we got to win.
Yeah.
That's it. Just win, baby.
Just like their dads.
Yes, sir.
You know what, Mike? I will say this: that town handled it really, really well. The congestion was obviously the congestion because they had the Live tournament going on, they had a convention going on, they had a Super Bowl going on, and then just the normal influx of people that want to go to Vegas going on. But I'll say this: they handled it really, really well.
So, we can go on and on about Mark Davis stories, and I think an average football fan is saying, like, right, Mike, the Raiders suck. They're one of the worst teams in the world. And then he spends $100 million for 10 years to bring in John Gruden. Mm-hmm. And look what that mess turns into. And then Josh McDaniels, and look at that mess turns into. And he pays over 130 or 150, whatever it was, to Devontae Adams to bring him in and all that. And to me, he's not a football guy. He's actually the first guy to sort of admit that. He's a circus guy. He puts on a show.
Right.
And Jerry Jones said something interesting. After the Packers had blown him out and he went in the hallway and talked to the media, he said it took him about the fourth quarter to really sink in what was going on, because his mind was in the next week's game, not from a football standpoint, but like, we're bringing in bands, we're flying in stars. We got sponsors to take care of. That's what these owners work on. That's why they hire football guys. But, Jerry Jones it was a blur to him that his Cowboys, their season was ending before his eyes. And so you talk to Mark Davis and he's like, the reason I wasn't even here is because I'm working on all this other stuff. Like, because he was asked about how big a following he's got with Mexican folks, Hispanic people that follow the Raiders team.
Well, I think it's huge. It's always been part of our DNA. This Sunday, we've got Lighting the Torch. Are going to be 3 Raider Super Bowl MVPs. Fred Biletnikoff, who's white, Jim Plunkett, Hispanic, and Marcus Allen, who's black. The Raiders are diversity, and our greatest players are diverse. And the Hispanic community means so much to us, and we're very proud of it.
It's interesting because, they do have, obviously been in Southern California or in California in general. They're in Northern California, but where Oakland was, but California in general, obviously a very diverse state anyway. And they've had that following that has then trekked with them all the way over to Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's who they're playing to. That's the brand that they're building and everything. And so that part's interesting. The other thing about it is this. So, Mark is like a promotions guy, a showman. Is not an X's and O's guy. And by the way, Al, his father was married to Carol Davis. She was a fashion designer. Al met her in New York. So she's actually technically the owner, that he handed it to her. She's 93 years old now, still alive. But Al Davis, when he was getting sick and just about a year or two before he passed, he did an interview and they said, who will inherit the team? He says, well, Carol and then my son, Mark. But, I feel good because you know what? We've got a close friend who always consults us. Any questions they have about football, they can call him. Do you know who he said? Ron Wolf.
Really? I didn't know that.
Ron Wolf worked for them as a scout. Ron was never
that I knew, but I didn't know he relied on. I didn't know he relied on Ron Wolf that much.
Right, I know, because you've interviewed Ron several times, and especially when he came with his book. So he worked all those years in the '60s to build those John Madden teams. Then later he went to work for the, and now then he goes to the Packers and he becomes the Hall of Fame general manager. That's the guy that they pick up the phone and call from time to time, like a Devontae Adams question. Yeah. And so I asked Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, about Devontae Adams.
Leadership. Oh, hell, he's a great player, but that's easier. That's the easy answer. But leadership is what it's all about.
Was there a moment, though, when he got into his first couple of games in the silver and black where you just thought, oh, my, wow.
Yeah, because I had, again, we don't see the NFC North all that often. So the few times that we've seen him, Obviously, he's a great player, and we played against him and stuff, but to see him day in, day out, and how he works and his practice and all that is unbelievable.
Yeah, he I mean, obviously Devontae Adams is enjoying his time there, but he also wants to win. They got to figure out a quarterback to throw the ball to him.
So, and here's the thing. In 2 years, this is what Green Bay's faced with. Mark Murphy's a football guy. He played the game.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in and made the assessments that, yeah, Ted Thompson's a smart guy. He's picking good players. And then he hired Brian Gutekunst to make those decisions. And he hired Matt LaFleur to be the head coach. And that guy goes away in 2025. Who's going to be your next owner, if you will, of the Packers? Who's going to make those kinds of decisions? Is it going to be a football guy? Is it going to be a business guy? Is it going to be a, cap sales promotion guy like Mark Davis? That's the interesting point that's going to be coming up in 2 years for Green Bay.
Let's do this. Mike, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll wrap it up. Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Do you love winning? This February, head to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee and fall head over heels with the Love It or Leave It $400,000 game show. Thursday nights, you could play the Love It or Leave It game show where you can love your prize or leave it for another. Play with your club card to earn drawing entries. Top prize is $10,000 in cash. It's time for Love It or Leave It. Only at Potawatomi. Learn more at PageSpace.com. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. Final segment on this Friday before we get out of here. Glad you're with us. Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline. So, Mike, you're back. Now we got what? We got Combine on the horizon, then we get into free agency, and then we got the draft, and it's the 24/7, 365 cycle that is the NFL.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out more some of these defensive assistant coaches that they've hired now after, making the change at defensive coordinator. And then a week from next Tuesday, I'll be in Indianapolis, and then we'll get to talk to Brian Gutekunst, the GM, as they start the Combine and looking at players there. I do have a strong whiff that, once again, there'll be changes at the Combine. Bill Belichick has started this trend, unfortunately, a few years ago, where some of the coaches stopped showing up. It used to be every GM and every head coach was there, and now they're kind of handed over to the scouting departments, and that's not fun for us that are just trying to keep tabs on the teams that we're covering.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, there was a tremendous interview that Peter King did with Andy Reid right after the game, and they just talked about, Andy's, I called this play, I called corn dog, and this type of thing, but he said it's Patrick, man, it's Patrick. And Peter King was our pool reporter that was at those Chiefs practices last week, and he kept talking about, man, Mahomes is he's on fire. There was one practice where he threw 30 consecutive completions and 3 touchdowns. And Andy said, he said, on Wednesday's practice, I threw a defense at him that the 49ers run rarely, but it's something you might see. I didn't even tell him about. He had nothing to react to. He came up to the line. He took the read. He snapped the ball. He made the right move with his feet, rolling out to the right, and he found 83 in the corner and zipped him a laser and scored a touchdown to one of his tight ends, Noah Gray. And Peter wrote about that. I remember him writing about that in the pool report. He goes, I was there. I saw that. And Andy Reid said, you know what? So we watched that tape after practice, and Matt Nagy, his offensive coordinator, was there. And Andy said, man, do you ever get tired of seeing those? And Matt Nagy said, no.
Right.
I mean, Mahomes he at 28, he's just perfect. What he does with his footwork, the accuracy of the passes, as a leadership, he's the guy to beat. You got to figure out a way to beat him. His quarterback rating goes up like 15 points in the postseason.
Yeah. He's been amazing. I mean, the fact that he on that last drive kind of took it upon himself to run twice for first downs for large chunks of yardage, and it's like he just flips the switch and says, "Here we go."
I was at first glance, I'm like, so where's Nick Bosa? They're paying that guy $30 million,
right?
Well, you know what? He was doing what he was told to do. He would take those tackles and stand them up way outside, but at the same time, he's trying to contain Patrick Mahomes, at the same time trying to speed up his clock, make him throw. And Bosa did what he was told to do. If you go after him, he's gonna run away and he's gonna pick up 30 yards. And so you've got to somehow contain him and pick up his clock at the same time. Maybe try and get a hand up. He's really tough to beat.
Mike, great stuff. It was great. You, me, Grant, Erica, Kristen, and all the work that everybody did. It was great. It was a great week of stuff. Good to have you home, and breathe easy for a little while, and then we're all back at it very shortly.
All thanks to you, Bill Michaels. Have a good weekend. Thank
all right,
you,
buddy.
Bill.
Talk to you soon. Grant, enjoy the family.
Do my best. I don't know why I said that. I love my family. I can't wait. I'll have a great weekend. You enjoy your weekend as well. Right. Mom and Dad, I love you.
There you go.
From.
That's it. Time for us to get out of here until we talk again. Have a good one. See you.